our hat on here. Check, check. See what it sounds like in the main.
Check. Mic. 1, 2. What is this?
When the beat bang, and you're in the club, when you listen and you feel a thud. When the beat bang, and you're in the club. When the beat bang, and you're in the club. When you listen and you feel a thud. When the beat bang, 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 and you're in the club. When the beat bang, and you're in the club. When you listen and you feel a thud.
goes out to all the ladies in the house.
I didn't see you on screen, so I was like, all right.
All right. We are hot.
Yo. Welcome everybody to episode 0.2. That's 0.2 of the Third Key podcast. I'm Chris McLeod. I'm here with my man Aaron, aka Young Smash Bros. I got a couple AKAs. I'm gonna have for him on every episode, but you know, that's just me being corny. We got a couple things to talk about today. Obviously, the Xbox game showcase has to be talked about. The explosion of Ghost of Tsushima, the update on Dr. Disrespect, Logic making a surprise signing to Twitch. We're finally going to get into that Ubisoft Forward event that we should have talked about last week, but that was my fault. We'll get into that during the podcast. The Uncharted movie filming. That new Miles Morales performance mode they got announced, because we got to talk about that. And our first Third Eye discussion. Yeah, we had to come up with a name that played off Third Key. Third Eye discussion. All right. So, Aaron, we know we got to kick it off with the biggest thing that happened this week, the Xbox game showcase, man. Let me know what you're feeling like. You know how I am, so let me hear what you got to say, man. Come on.
Well, all right. So we already said we should save Halo for the end, or else we won't get to everything else that was in it. But I took notes on the whole thing. I mean, overall, it's obviously not the most amazing showing. It was still fun to watch because it's video games or whatever, and it's new stuff. But oh boy, they did not. I was like, that wasn't bad, and then I thought about PlayStation showing a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh man, they did not compare to that one. But yeah, I assume you have similar overall impressions.
Well, so I have my thing, right? So I've told people consistently, Microsoft, and this isn't every facet. If you're familiar with Microsoft as a company, the one thing I think that they've always done poorly is keynotes, shows. Anything that has something to do with them getting on the stage and talking is never exciting. That's why most people didn't even know Microsoft did keynotes. That's probably listening to us right now. The only keynote y'all probably have ever watched have been Apple keynote. Because for some reason, Steve Jobs knew how to make y'all care about, you know, whatever was coming to the iPhone or the iPad, whatever. You know what I mean? But this show, as far as selling Game Pass, oh great. If this was about Game Pass, this would have been best show ever.
They should have
Because
just started.
literally,
I don't know why they don't just they don't just make it more blatant these days. Like just
bro,
come out and say it. You're setting up Game Pass and it's going to be great. They don't advertise it enough though. They were like they just showed games and at the bottom at the end it would say Xbox One, Series X, Xbox. What were they putting in there? Well, they were putting one X. They were putting one.
On.
They would put one if it was going to actually be on one.
Correct.
But clearly some of these are going to be on the next smaller Xbox that they're going to make, but they don't have that name out there yet. But and then it would say like Xbox Game Pass, which to people who don't realize how big of a deal that is, it's just not. It's not enough. It's not helping enough. Like they got to be saying.
Because is it amazing that they announced? I think I counted 20. How many did you count? How many games you count? I think I counted 20. So let's say 20.
It's something like that.
Now.
Yeah, they kept saying it in their stats.
They announced 20 games that are all gonna be on a streaming service. Day one when they release.
They should have just they should just say, hey, the games we make you can play day one on release if you have Xbox Game Pass. They should just be hammering that into people's heads, but I don't know.
Because that saves people $60. Like,
and they also need to hammer it. Did they combine the services yet? Is streaming combined with Game Pass yet, or no?
They have announced they did an announcement before the show that S.T.A.L.K.E.R is going to be a part of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And the first game that they've publicly announced that's going to be a part of the cloud streaming service is Destiny 2 with all its downloadable content. It's a big deal.
Yeah, Stadia has that. Granted,
the Stadia has that. But, but who uses Stadia?
Nobody.
Oh, okay. So we ain't talking about the Stadia. Okay. So the show itself, I agree with you. Not a great showing. I felt like
Derek wanted to point out real quick that Phil has been saying that they're not interested in getting people to forcing people to adopt new hardware, which is clear.
Which is clear, but that's why the messaging, like you said, needs to be clear. This should not be the Xbox, Series X. Like, we shouldn't even be talking about the Xbox Series X.
I guess they did call it Xbox Game Showcase, but what everyone wanted to know was they just wanted to know about Series X and what the new games are going to be and how good they're going to look.
Clear. Yeah. They need to be clear that they're treating their Xbox like they treat the Surface laptop and the Surface notebook, the Surface book, right? Because you got a Surface book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they make it clear that the Surface lineup is clearly it's just like they're using it as a way to showcase the OS, right? But they're not forcing you to buy one. If you want to go get a Dell, or if you want to go get an Asus, or if you want to go get a Lenovo, or if you want to go get a Razer, or if you want to go, they don't care how you get Windows. They just want you to have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that same philosophy is here. So if that's going to be the philosophy, the idea that we're even talking about the Series X is pointless. Don't even, what are we talking about? Mm-hmm. Have a conversation about the Series X when you want to talk about hardware. If we're talking about games and this is strictly about Game Pass needs to be branded. This is the Game Pass showcase. That is it. And then when we walk into it, we know every game that I just saw is going to be on Game Pass. Right. And that pretty much straightens all this up.
Yeah. And that's and I think they also need to hammer home that it's AAA titles on day one, and it's it's games on PC and on console. You can download them yourself and play them, and you can just play them. I don't know. I don't know what their pricing's like these days, but they should be advertising that stuff. They should have been at the end of that whole thing. They should have been like, "Yep, Game Pass. It's all on Xbox Game Pass. Here's the 2 tiers or whatever they got right now, and you get all this." They should have just put a commercial at the end of it.
I mean, straight up, because it's the best value in gaming. Like, that has not changed. It is the best value in gaming. But All right, let's actually talk about specifics of the show because
Yep.
we always do this. We'll start talking about random shit.
We're just
So look. So
I'll start
okay.
off. I'll start off if we want to. I got every single one on here, starting right past Infinite. First
Go
one,
ahead.
State of Decay 3. I forgot about State of Decay. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure I wrote I read a comment that I think it was for State of Decay. They were like, "Oh man, it's gonna be on consoles," because I guess it was a PC game, and they were like, "How can it be a broken POS if it's on console at launch?" Like, but I don't know. It was a cool trailer. It was like that one with the zombie deer. I almost was hoping it was gonna be a surprise Time Splitters announcement with the zombie deer, but nope.
Bro, I was getting vibes. I was getting Last of Us vibes,
It didn't.
and I felt like they're trying to, and this is just me, doing our whole third eye thing right here. This is my aluminum tinfoil hat on my head. I feel like they're trying to have their version of it in some sort of way. Like, oh, you want a female lead killing zombies? Well, guess what we got for you? State of Decay 3. You know what I mean? And that's how I felt when I saw it, because I was like, okay, she's sitting there by the campfire, sharpening her tools. She, did the whole growl at a wolf thing. It just, I'm trying to see what direction they're going with that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just lost so much of their appeal, I feel like, over the years, because there's been so many games like that these days.
Yes.
They were unique back in the day, but they're gonna have a lot to prove. PC gamers will play it. I'm sure they have a big fan base. I'm sure they'll play it, but whatever.
No, and I felt that watching the show, and I guess we'll get to some of these other games. I felt like a lot of console gamers don't really understand how weird PC gamers are. So I don't want PC gamers to take that the wrong way. PC gamers play obscure shit. They are what you call like the hipsters of video games. Like PC gamers will, like, remember when Super Hot came out? Remember Super Hot?
Mm-hmm.
That shit blew up on PC.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and everybody was trying to figure out what the appeal was of Super Hot, and I'm like, bro, that's literally like some PC gamer type of shit. They will find something that nobody will think is cool and play that shit. You know what I mean? And then they'll talk about how cool it is, and then once it goes to other things, they'll act like, oh, it was lame.
Oh, and they're always more open to stuff too, and they've always been more. They were
Correct.
the first console that had indie games, or not console, but that's where indie games lived for the longest time until it became a big
Correct.
deal with like consoles to have Xbox Live Arcade. Yeah, like they're the first people to start like bringing indies to
No,
the
you
forefront.
serious.
But
You're
I
right.
mean, PC's been doing that for forever, so they'll play whatever, and they just have a lot of diehard fans. A lot of these old RTS franchises and stuff like that, they'll still be coming out. They're like, what are they, like, remaking Command and Conquer from the ground up and restoring it or something right now, and people are like super excited
they're
about
making,
that.
So Age of Empires 4, they're coming out with Age of Empires. For people, like, Age of Empires is a big ass deal. I don't know if people understand that. When Age of Empires hits PC, it's going to blow the fuck up.
Yeah.
When they like Command and Conquer, one of the games that Obsidian announced, I know is going to be huge on PC. Grounded, that Grounded game with where they was fighting the bugs and the survival horror in the backyard, that's going to be huge on PC.
I hope so. I feel like that they're gonna go after Fortnite crowd and start putting it on weird platforms. But
It's weird. It's weird because I've been looking at the alpha, and a lot of PC guys are in the alpha, and they love it.
I tell you
And
what, PC gamers like to try free games out
Yes.
before they
Yes.
come out.
I'm
All
trying
right,
to think if there's anything else I saw.
Hold up, we got more. Oh, I wrote down a note. Phil Spencer got a camera. That's nice.
Oh, wow.
They shipped something to Phil Spencer's house to give him a real camera. I was like, oh, it's not, because every time he's shown up, it's been in front of the worst webcam, recorded Zoom game. Zoom. I just mixed that. Derek said basically every time an indie game breaks out into the mainstream, it does so on PC first, which is true. Hotline Miami.
I mean that is true.
Super hot.
It's true.
All right, next on the list, was Forza, whichever. I stopped paying attention halfway through the trailer. Which game? What is it? Motorsport 6?
It is
Is it
now just
Forza Horizon? It's just Forza.
It's 8.
It's
It's
just 8.
8. But it is now just called Forza Motorsport, and we'll talk about that when we talk about Halo, because there's something that they're doing with their first-party games that's very obvious here. So you might as well go to the next one. Forza look great, everybody. So look, Forza look great, everybody. Forza always looks fucking great.
They said ray tracing 4K
It'll be
60 FPS.
Yeah, 4K 60 frames a second with ray tracing. Let's make sure we say that. 4K,
yeah,
60 frames a second with ray tracing. And that's going to be very important once we get to talking about another game that's 4K 60. All right.
My buddy CJ said Forza Infinite. And I wrote, I'll believe it when I see it, because I do think that's a bit of a lofty goal for how high their graphical fidelity usually is. But I guess that they, yeah, I mean, I guess that they already did look really nice. I don't know how much nicer that trailer looked compared to the last Forza, because it probably looked really good too. But
I mean, they announced it in Halo, even though ray tracing is not going to be available on day one. They said they're going to patch it in.
I'm sure, and that's one thing too, which we'll talk about it later. But I think that game is definitely going to look better
with ray tracing
a year from now. Just in general, I'm sure it's going to look way better. But
oh yeah, based on that 10-year plan. All right, next game. What we got?
Everworld. That was the new Rare game, which
that should look incredible, bro.
I didn't.
That should look incredible.
I was like, this looks cool. Really, my impressions were just they let Rare make a video game. That's great. They didn't. There didn't have to be some kind of gimmick attached to it. Looked like it was pretty unique. The graphical style was beautiful. The whole world they had was beautiful. Clearly, they've been working on that for a long time. So I was like, that's cool. I don't really know what's going on from the trailer, but
should look great, man.
I will be following it, and I'm interested in seeing what it turns into.
Everwild is Everwild, by the way. I like how you messed their game name up.
Did I?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Everwild. Is it Everwild or Everworld? Look it up. Look it up. We live.
No, it's Everwild. Yep.
Okay.
My notepad notes was wrong. We will move on to the next one.
Sorry, Rare, for messing your game name up. But Everwild is going to be a cult fan favorite. I can see it already. They're going to sell a whole bunch of merch. Those characters, like, they had representation of every race. I was like, oh, like, y'all hitting all the representation boxes. You got the black character, white character, somebody looked Hispanic. You got women, you got men. I mean, if they have anybody that's LGBTQ, did I miss one? Is LGB? I feel like I'm missing one. Jay's going to kill me.
You can just say TQ.
Okay, let's go TQ. All right.
If you make it that far, you're doing better than most people. So I think people appreciate it.
If they got somebody in there, hey, they'll check another box. Everwild is going to be a hit. I can see it now. They're going to sell a whole bunch of everything with that game. That game looked great.
What's the next one? Man. It looks fun. Next one was Just Tell Me Why, which I don't know why they... It's like that game should just be out by now. I feel like every time it's that new it's the Don't Nod, it's the Life is Strange developers. So
did Microsoft buy it?
I don't think so, but I think that they might have like it'll be on Xbox before PlayStation, or I don't know, you know,
deal.
Like because
exclusivity.
Like Life is Strange was huge on PS4, so I don't think that they're gonna be you know. I don't think they're gonna be exclusive to Xbox unless they bought them, and I'm wrong. I didn't even look that up. The other thing that was tough was that they weren't showing any of the developer credits. Maybe in the beginning of the trailers, but at the very end they would show the name of the game, show the platforms, show the release date, and then not show who made it or any other credits. I was like, who is this by again? I had to go look up Don't Nod. But yeah, Derek says sounds like another cameo. It does kind of look like
this is where we'll get into my list, right? Because we both took notes, right? So in my list, I had 3 distinct categories. I had 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing. I had games I'm interested in, and then I had whack shit. What you think? Tell me why I fell under.
Hold on. What was in the middle category?
I had 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing. I had games I'm
That's not
interested
that.
in,
It's
and I
not that.
had whack shit.
I
What
would
you think that fella?
probably whack shit. I think whack shit's a
Okay,
little.
cool. So
I
go
think that's a little. A little.
go to the next game, bro. Tell me why it's not on my radar. I don't care about it. I felt like it was vanilla as hell. So remember on the first episode when I called The Last of Us vanilla?
I mean, it
Yeah, I
is.
was like, yo,
It is
this
just.
fell in that category.
It's just the third game that they've made, and I don't think that they've. It's just
Yeah,
another
well, they need a
story.
fourth game.
It's
But they
like
need
them
a fourth
making.
game.
Right. It's like them just making new movies. Ori
Okay, let's go.
2020. This was
Let's
not the.
go. Nah,
This.
let's talk about a real game. Let's go.
It was
Ori, great. Go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead and get your
the
shit off,
little.
Aaron. I'm listening.
The little bit on it was funny because all they basically talked about was how dope it already runs on PC, and that they were like, it already can run at high frame rates in 4K and all this stuff, and it's coming to Xbox Series X. It's like, okay, yeah, I could play it right now, looking like that. But that's all that they were saying. It was weird that they took like they showed a trailer and they had like a bit with the developers just to say
And they
we're
showed the
porting the
side by
PC
side.
version.
They had the
Yeah.
side by side of 60 frames a second versus 120 frames a second. For which I thought was cool from a technical perspective to kind of show people why I rant and rave about frame rate so much. Like people don't understand that. Like they think I'm like just using scientific mumbo jumbo, and I'm like, bro, I care about frame rates.
Yeah.
And one of the games on the list, I'm gonna go on a rant on, but I will accept that it's not 60 FPS because of what kind of game it is. They confirmed it today, but let's talk about Ori right now. Ori was, in my opinion, one of the 5 best games that come out this generation. It is the only game that I cried playing this
I
generation.
still haven't played it yet, which is bad. I bought it on Switch. I got it. I want to play it
Bro.
real bad.
Made me cry.
And then I hope
Both games made me cry.
I was gonna say
Bro.
I hope I like it, and then I'll play the second one on PC, and I'll jack them settings up. But
It is one of the best games I've ever played. Just from it's one of the only games I've ever played where it merged art direction, mechanics, soundtrack. Like I was like the characters had no voices, and then technical excellence. And I feel like technical excellence gets lost in these conversations because we always accept the mediocre. That shit was running 60 frames a second already. So now it was one, it was already running 60. It was doing that on the last console. So all of y'all getting 60 right now, they was doing that shit back then.
and
Show
the
some
PC,
respect.
I mean, the PC port of the second one too is like, is godlike. I mean, that's why they said they already. Oh yeah, we already support variable frame rates. You can go all the way up to totally uncapped frame rate, so it'll just render as high as you got. 4K. All of our assets are in super high HD and everything. It's like they already crushed it with the second one. They just got to put it on a console that can actually do that now. But
Come on, man.
I gotta,
And
yeah, I gotta
and
play
y'all
those.
basic ass TVs, and y'all got these basic ass TVs that can't handle such
Yeah.
high frame rates. Go ahead and go get you an OLED.
The
with that
TVs aren't even out
HDMI
yet.
2.1, okay, with that variable refresh rate. Go, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and get that AMD technology in your TV and play Ori the way it's supposed to be. One of the best games ever made by Ori on your Xbox or your Switch. Go get it. All right, next game.
After that, they spent a good amount of time on the Outer Worlds expansion. I don't even remember what it was called, but all I wrote was I was like, that looks like a pretty big expansion. Maybe people will think it's a full game now
Okay.
with that. I don't know, but people, I heard a lot of with the first one that it felt like a proof of concept for them to be able to make their own, they're the people that made Fallout New Vegas. People really liked how they did that formula of game, and then they were like, we want to make our own franchise from the ground up, and they did it. It worked pretty well, and people were like, it's kind of short though. It wasn't really. So
They got them bought.
yeah. So now it's got.
I mean, like, isn't that the point? To get
Right.
bought? They got bought. Like, Microsoft paid a hefty sum for Obsidian, and it was called Peril on Gorgon. Okay, Peril on Gorgon. Guess which list it fell under for me? Come on, take another guess. Come on.
go for whack shit on that one.
Okay, let's go. Next game. Now, funny thing is, Outer Worlds was not bad. It was not, but I don't care about this expansion being shown at the Xbox Game Showcase, which falls into this whole why is this Game Showcase showcasing these things? That's why that shit was whack. And what's the next game, Aaron?
Grounded. I think this is what you were talking about before. This was the
Yes, I was.
the little kids, which to me, okay, I didn't understand it because I was watching it and I was just like, this is literally what they tried to sell Fortnite as. It's like the same game with a different setting. I didn't understand how it was supposedly different. You have a phase where you're building up a fortress, and then you go out in the night and you kill bugs and stuff and defend your fortress with friends. That is what Fortnite was. That's why you build stuff in Fortnite.
It is a survival horror game, right? From Obsidian, so it's an RPG, but it's a co-op RPG. And I found out about Grounded because, funny enough, you would think with the shit I put on my whack list, you would think Grounded would just make my whack list. Well, Grounded would have made my whack list if I wasn't privy to this game already. So I've watched it a lot in alpha. I've watched a lot of guys talk about it. Grounded, I think, is going to be a sleeper hit. I think Grounded is going to be a cult classic game in the vein of Psychonauts. And it's funny, obviously I'm only bringing it up because they announced Psychonauts 2. But Grounded is going to be one of those games that people who play video games for artistic integrity and being creative and thinking outside the box, you're going to love Grounded. I'm gonna rep for Grounded because I've seen it. Aaron, you will love Grounded. I guarantee you.
I do want to try it
when you play it, you will love it.
I can try it. That's a thing. I can just play it, which I should probably do sometime, but I'll have to get people to actually.
And guess what? It is on Xbox Game Pass beta. I think it's releasing next week. So if you got Game Pass on PC or Xbox, you can try it out.
It's not. I thought that game was going to be free to play.
I think
maybe it's just because it's in early access or whatever. Actually, no.
I know it's in early access right now, and I saw the beta pop up on Game Pass. I'm pretty sure it comes out next week. If I'm wrong, you can write me and Aaron and say, Chris, shut up, you lying sack of shit. But any last thoughts on Grounded before we go to the next game?
I mean, I hope it does well. I always thought Fortnite looked fun when they announced it, and I was like, that's pretty neat. And then it just crashed and burned, and then they somehow turned that shit around. They got the fastest coders in the West to adapt that into Battle Royale before anyone else could make a Battle Royale after PUBG. And then it was a wrap. But
the rest is history, as they say.
Avowed. This was them as well. And And what I wrote down is this was them, because again, their ex used to make games for Bethesda. I was like, Microsoft went, you got to make Elder Scrolls 6 before Bethesda does, because Bethesda is going to take forever. So,
they are. And when it comes out, it's going to be a mess.
Yep. So they were like, go ahead and make a fantasy game. I mean, that's all I could think of. It was first person. You had the swords in front of you and everything. He was using magic in one of his hands. There's a bunch of big enemies. It looked like a fantasy game, first person action game, RPG. So they're making Elder Scrolls, and Bethesda really is. They're gonna have to speed it up. I mean, are they?
Competition, man.
Isn't that space game supposed to be coming out before Elder Scrolls 6? They got two vaporware titles right now.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I'll say this. Avowed for me ended up being the game of the show where I said, if they pulled that off, that's a game of the year winner. And all I saw was a trailer. Just because I know how the gaming media responds to those type of games. if they pull that game off, it's gonna win game of the year. Yeah. No questions asked. All that shit got to do is be 100 hours, and I know that's like steep, for me to say that, because I think the last Elder Scrolls, people put in like 600 hours into that Elder Scrolls game. Like I saw people who had 600 plus hours in that game. So
I mean,
You make this thing.
we were at game. I was still at GameStop still. I think you were still. But I mean, when Skyrim came out, it was like it was the only game you could sell to Call of Duty bros that wasn't a shooter. That's all they
Yes.
wanted was a shooter. I need another shooter. Well, good luck. You're not gonna find any of them as fun as Call of Duty. But then that Skyrim came out and they saw their friends playing it and they were like, well, I can get behind fantasy and some swords, I guess. And then they got
And
addicted to
kill
it because they
dragons.
like video games. Um, and,
Kill dragons and shit.
yeah, and that was
So-
it. It was a wrap after
so-
that.
Avowed has a very high ceiling, very high potential to be a Game of the Year winner. And I feel like there were only 2 games that they showed during the showcase that I felt like were Game of the Year contenders, because this year's wrapped up. Now that Ghost of Tsushima, and we talk about that next, but Halo ain't got no chance to win the Game of the Year unless when that shit come out, it is magnificent. Because I know it's about to win Game of the Year this year. There ain't even no question.
Yeah.
So it's 2 games and both of them on the PlayStation 4. It's one of them. One of them gonna win. Okay. So, but Avowed could be that game for Microsoft, and it has the look. It has the feel. It has the, you know what I mean when I say this, Aaron. The gaming media loves certain type of game. And if this comes out and it hits, it's a wrap. Give them the trophy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Derek pointed out that focusing on your service isn't the sexiest thing in the world, but that was one of those games that people were looking for when they were watching this showcase. This is for Xbox Series X and nothing below that, and your PC probably.
Oh yeah, it's coming out on PC.
And they'll keep getting the attention too. I mean, like Outer Worlds. I can't believe that they made Outer Worlds and then somebody else made a game called Outer Wilds in the same year. Outer Worlds, people were following that the whole time. They were just like, oh, Fallout New Vegas people making their own game, cool. And then they just constant media attention. So that is going to get constant media attention.
It was good.
Yeah.
Even though I got Parallel Gorgon in my whack shit category, I got respect for Outer Worlds as a good game. It is good. It's not unique, but it's good. It's definitely Fallout Light. I call it Fallout Light right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for people that don't want to play Fallout because Fallout 76 was piping hot garbage juice, you can play Outer Worlds.
I feel like that game has got to be why Microsoft was like, they even said, they were like, we had a whole bunch of game concepts floating around, and Microsoft saw this one and they said, that's the one, make that one.
That's why they bought them. They bought them because of Avowed.
Yeah.
They literally, they came out and said it. They got bought because they saw Avowed. That is very similar to the Mark Zuckerberg purchase of what's the virtual reality guys
Oculus.
that they bought.
Oculus.
Yes, when they bought Oculus, they said this is a segue. This is what me and Aaron do. We just do this. He walked into a demo, and it was like a bullshit demo, like the cardboard. Like when they was putting the phone on the cardboard.
Uh-huh.
Put him in a chair, strapped him in. He did the demo, and then he took it off and said, "How much?"
Yeah.
And then they said, "Oh, it's gonna." They thought he was talking about a unit. Right? Like, oh yeah, it's gonna cost as much. He's like, no, for everything.
Yeah.
and it was like, oh, and they got bought. So that is Obsidian's story with Microsoft. They showed them Avowed, and they was like, yep, here's the money.
Yeah, they're like, we got some deep pockets right now. You showed this to us at a good time. Yeah, man, because it's got to be just like, I mean, Bethesda's in such poor graces with their fans right now. Fallout 76 was an absolute PR disaster.
It's a shit show.
And when do you think Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out?
Man, that shit ain't coming out no time soon, dog. Hey, man,
2024.
That shit ain't coming out no time soon, dog.
They can make this whole game probably and come out and it'll be rated well and people will be like, yes, I've been waiting for another game like Elder Scrolls, but we've been waiting for Elder Scrolls 6 for the last 12 years or whatever it's gonna be. And it's gonna do very, very well. So that was a good purchase. That was
And That was the best purchase.
That was
the best game studio purchase that they made.
Yeah, that was definitely the standout announcement at the conference. All right. I don't remember what this is. As Dusk Falls.
Oh, that was on my whack shit list. I remember
It's
this.
AAA. I said it's a AAA HD visual novel. Because I'm looking at it and I'm like, these are 2D characters, like pictures moving, but I also think that the 2D pictures are generated by 3D models, and the environment is all in 3D. And I was like, man, you guys they like specifically made it look like that, and then like threw as much money behind the presentation as possible. And I was like, that's pretty wild. So I mean, some people might be into that, but I was like, oh.
Look, just so I'm clear, tell me why, and as Dusk Falls are definitely gonna sell to that segment of people that likes like the whole Life is Strange or the Telltale games.
I mean, I feel like As Dusk Falls will be a little bit of a harder sell, but yeah.
Yeah, like those games are obviously tailored towards those people, right? So excuse the hate in my blood, okay? Because I am a connoisseur of video games. I do respect the art, so I'm always gonna respect the art. If you make my whack shit list, that's pretty much me. I just don't care. Like my money's not going towards you at all. But if you want me to actually speak about it and be, you know, all artistically savvy and all that, I leave that to Aaron. I don't care about As Dusk Falls. So Aaron, what you got to say about As Dusk Falls? You got anything?
I'm sure it'll be cool, but that was them pulling at grasping at straws to get some more games on their showcase, probably.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, next.
Yeah. So Hellblade 2 was again kind of we already knew about it. Did Sony announce it?
No. So they
Where was
announced
the
Hellblade 2 last year at the Game Awards, and they showed that trailer that was done with Unreal Engine 5 apparently. And everybody was tripping because it looked so ridiculously good, and they said it was in engine. So they was like, yeah, this is in engine, and that's how it's gonna look. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck? But we haven't seen any gameplay for it. You know, they're so early in development on that game that they came out and said, hey, we're doing a docu-series on YouTube about the location that we based the game in. So yeah. We're not going to talk about Hellblade 2 anymore because they didn't even talk about Hellblade 2. So next game.
Psychonauts 2 is maybe finally coming out. I got really excited at first because they just showed Jack Black and what's his name at the studio, Tim Schafer. And I was like,
man, they both look out of shape, didn't they?
Well, yeah. But I was like, man, are they making a new game together? Making another Brutal Legend? And then I was like, oh wait, no, it's just Psychonauts.
It was so good.
Yeah,
it was so good.
But I was like, oh, he's just one of the main, you know, people's brains you delve into in Psychonauts 2, and that's cool. I bet you. I'm curious. It's the guest talent that they're gonna have for the, you know, the different levels that are like people. They might be able to pull some good celebrities. Just because they have a history of doing that. Freaking, I mean, but even their last game when they made the biggest Kickstarter of all time and they made Broken Age, like that Elijah Wood was the main character in that game.
Hey, guess what though? They don't got to do Kickstarter no more.
Yeah, no, they don't. I mean, after that Kickstarter,
he ain't got to kickstart nothing.
They were
more.
Good after that, and yeah, now it's like, I can't believe though this game. They've been making this game. They kickstarted this game too, actually. And boy, was that a long time ago. But, you know, they're taking their time. Got hit with the pandemic. It's Microsoft's...
Psychonauts 2 is going to be one of the best games of the generation. Like, just that's not even a conversation. Like, Psychonauts 1 is one of the best games ever made, right? It should basically be in everybody's top 100 list. If you have a top 100 list and Psychonauts is not in it, I tend to question, you know, your design knowledge. I like Psychonauts 2 is gonna be really good. It looked really good. Like it looked like Psychonauts. So for people who don't know about Psychonauts, they probably looked at that trailer and was like, "Oh, this looks like bullshit."
The art design was nuts, man.
Yeah, sir. I don't care about your gaming opinion if you don't know anything about Psychonauts. Okay, like so.
It looked
That
like
game's gonna be good.
it looked like the trippy uh, visuals from the Beatles rock band that they put into certain songs, but
Yes, yes, man.
he was running around inside of them. It's like
Yes.
this looks great. Like
Yeah, it looked
the art
incredible.
design was amazing for it. So
Yeah, it looks incredible. Incredibly creative. The type of game that Microsoft never used to make. That's why the addition of Double Fine to me, and that's Double Fine, right? That's
you
isn't
know
that
what's
Tim
crazy?
Schafer's?
Yeah,
Isn't that Double Fine?
yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't Psychonauts an Xbox console
I
exclusive?
want to say I
Oh,
remember it
maybe
being on the PS2.
I think it was on PS2. Yeah, it wasn't on GameCube.
Now, I remember. I think it was on both. I think it was on like both consoles. But the thing is just those are the type of games that Microsoft's first party studios would never make. That Sony always would make. Like the artistically driven game that's not designed just to sell consoles. Like something that is a representation of the art side of gaming. And that's why I felt like the addition of Tim Schafer made so much sense, because they need to have someone there that's going to make games that are artistically driven, that are not just to move consoles.
Right.
Psychonauts is not going to move consoles, but it will bolster your first party library, and it will bolster Game Pass. And for people that normally would not buy it, when Psychonauts 2 hits the service, you need to play it.
Well, and
you can already
I think,
tell it's excellent.
I think people don't realize a lot of that Double Fine has been kind of cranking out a lot of smaller games and stuff as well that are all pretty great games. Costume Quest. Didn't they make Headlander or something?
I think they did make Headlander.
Like they've been cranking out smaller games in the meantime, whereas Psychonauts 2 has been like their big project they've been working on. So it's all of those titles that they have that they can just immediately put onto their platform. So also it came out. Double Fine made the game for Xbox, and another studio helped port it to PS2, and it came out like 3 months later on PS2.
Okay, there we go.
I guess makes it, because I was like, all I remember seeing at GameStop is green Psychonauts cases, and I think that the PS2 ones are pretty rare, and I bet you that port was not as good. But
what, like Ninja Gaiden Sigma?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a different conversation. I'm gonna catch slander for the Ninja Gaiden Sigma. But
also I will expose myself. I love Double Fine, but I'm just so behind on games. I have not played Psychonauts. My thing with Double Fine is that I started from the beginning of Tim Schafer. I started from the beginning of LucasArts. So like I played Maniac Mansion, I played Day of the Tentacle, I played Grim Fandango, I played Full Throttle.
Grim Fandango, bro. Grim Fandango.
I played it. I got the game engine they used to make that stuff was called Scum, and they have this app on Windows you can get called Scum VM of somebody who emulated it, and I was emulating those games on my school laptop while working in a parking garage in Wayne on Michigan Avenue, playing them games on that old ass laptop. And then they remastered Grim Fandango, and then they came back, they made Broken Age, and then they and then everything. Now, and Psychonauts is on PC now, and it's like I want to get it on PC. Well, I have it actually. I do own it. But haven't played it.
Hey everybody, by the way, welcome to the Third Key Podcast, where we talk about things and we go off into tangents about shit that has nothing to do with what we were talking about. That is why me and Aaron are best friends, because we tend to do that a lot. I'm gonna keep us on track. And what's the next game? What's the next game?
You touched on it a little bit already, but Destiny 2 Beyond Light.
Do we have to talk about Destiny?
It was
just like an expansion.
I was like, weird. Okay, Monster Hunter already did a primarily ice-focused expansion. I guess you guys are doing it now too. And I was like, oh wow, you doubled down on that ice stuff, huh?
Oh yeah.
It's like it's all ice. Like, is this only gonna work
you
in
see
one?
Those particle effects?
It was nice, but I was like, it's just
Did you see
odd.
Those particle effects?
It's just odd if they were like the next major Zelda Breath of the Wild expansion is a new world. It's half the size as the first world, but it's all ice, and everything new is all ice focused. I'd be like, all right, I guess that's kind of it's weird to like. it's like picking one level out of a Mario game and then building a whole expansion out of just that level's design. I don't. That's a weird thing to me. That doesn't make me excited to be like, wow, I'm a real big fan of ice, and I'm glad that there is 17 new features based around ice. They were like, you got the ice jump, you got the ice wall, you got the freeze
You
people, and you can
are
blow them up.
ridiculous.
You can.
Like, this is. Hey man, they had to show off the particle effects, man.
I guess, but
it had to be done. Like I think they've done whole expansions based around Egyptian lore. Like it's like they just be doing mad expansions based on one thing. That's just what they do. Either way, Destiny's gonna be the first game that well, not the first, but it has been the first game announced that will be playable on xCloud. You know, and yes, Aaron said, yeah, you can do that with Google Stadia, but nobody cares about Google Stadia. Get Google Stadia the F out of here. Destiny 2 Beyond Light, along with all the other downloadable content on Destiny 2 is going to be available on Game Pass. 4K 60 frames a second. Okay, that's important here because none of us have played Destiny 4K 60 frames a second. So I'm going to play it now because it is now technically worthy of my time.
I have, and
game?
it is nice because I played it on PC. But but the last thing I wanted to say on that is when did that damn game come out? That game came out in 2017. Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, that's why I say why are we talking about this?
It's like that's not. I thought I was. I think I was thinking Destiny 1. I guess it's not as old as I thought, but I was just like, of course it's 4K 60. It better be. It's a 3-year-old game like on a new platform. So yeah, I was like, cool, whatever.
I think the next game is Warhammer, and I'm pretty sure it is.
Nope, it's another revived, mostly popular on PC title, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2.
So I'm gonna start off on this one. Actually, I want you to finish this one because you're a PC guy. So originally, when they announced this, I had it on my whack shit list, right? And then I was like, wait a minute, isn't S.T.A.L.K.E.R one of those legendary?
Isn't that Shadow of Chernobyl? Was that the subtitle for that game?
I didn't see that actually. I'm sorry.
That's what it was called. The first one was called S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl. And yes.
Okay.
Now that I think back on it, oh my god, that game came out in 2007, dude.
Yeah, I knew it was old, but I just remembered that S.T.A.L.K.E.R was one of those legendary PC games.
It was, and it got ported to PS3 and 360.
I was like, it is not on my whack shit list. It has to come off because I forgot that S.T.A.L.K.E.R was one of those PC games, like we talked about earlier, that PC players swore by. So the fact that they're making S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 is a deliberate call to the PC community that we are here for you. Like, if you are a PC player and you saw S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 on that screen, you should have been like, okay, now y'all got my attention. Now, okay,
shit,
I'm here with y'all now.
That game was actually just PC.
Yeah, and since Microsoft is going in this direction a lot with Age of Empires, with Flight Simulator, I'm surprised they didn't show Flight Simulator. Like, I didn't know Flight Simulator was so popular on PC. There are dudes that are like hellaciously excited about Flight Simulator.
Dude. It's like racing nuts who build cages. I mean, they'll build full. It's one of those games that you can build a full cockpit out of, 6 TV screens and accurate, flight controls and buttons. That game allows you to literally, you could become a pilot playing that game. I don't know if you ever tried to play that game. They had it. I think they ported it. I went into a game store one time, maybe it was a Best Buy or something like that, and they had one, and I think it was on a computer, on a little demo setup, and you get in it, it's first person, you're sitting in the pilot seat, there's 10 million buttons, and I literally just couldn't make the game do anything. You don't hit forward to fly, you have to start a plane and do everything necessary to make the plane fly. And I was like, I can't even play it. I was like, this is whack. I was definitely young. This is back when Flight Simulator was actually popular, but now it's cool because they do have that it is a very solid game, and now they have just like the graphical fidelity is just through the roof, and it just looks real. So I mean that's cool, and that's why they have cornered the market on flight simulators.
Yeah,
Uh,
because nobody else
yeah,
makes it. And as far as and
and
as far as Stalker goes, that's the first game I thought of. It's weird that I thought of Flight Simulator first, but Stalker was one of those games where I was like, man, they're really on this PC gamer shit. Like PC gamers should really believe that Microsoft is trying, because I'm like, bro, they're bringing back franchises that y'all care about.
I mean, how did they even? Because that's way older than I thought it was. I did not think it came out in 2007. It hasn't had a release since 2009. They made a couple expansions. Who's even making this? Is it the same?
I mean, we do have
Uh,
the internet.
Video game features a completely new multi-platform engine written by GSE itself. They made their own. They made their own game engine for it too,
Oh, interesting.
and it's the same. What? What have they been doing? Like, how can this be the same developers? Oh shit! Stalker 2 was
It's
announced.
funny that
It
it's
was
funny that they're calling it a timed exclusive on console, when I'm like, is it really a timed exclusive if it's on PC? Like,
right.
I,
They're like,
like
no, it's just
it's
not on
really a
PlayStation
timed
yet.
exclusive. It's just coming to PC later.
Wow. So they announced Stalker 2 in August of 2010, and they wanted it out by 2012, and it got announced that it was canceled, and they said that they were gonna do it, and then in 2012 they finally said, okay, no, it's canceled, and then in 2018 they said they were bringing it back, and that must have been when Microsoft started perking up. Um, they didn't buy them though, right? No.
Look, I don't think they bought them. I don't see the funny thing with the PC developers. I feel like and I guess we'll get a little nerdy here, right? So, what DirectX are we on right now? We on DirectX 12, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I felt like the DirectX 12 introduction, and this is me just speculating here, so anybody that wants to chime in on this, please give your expertise. I felt like once they made their introduction, and they made the last Xbox a PC-based architecture, I feel like they opened up the door with PC developers to have real conversations about putting their games on consoles, if you get what I'm saying. Because Stalker, to me, would never really be a console game. Like, I know they eventually had ported it to console, but Stalker to me would never perform well on a console. It's far too sophisticated. Like, it's just sophisticated. Like, there's certain games on PC that are sophisticated. Crysis was one of those games. That's why I don't know why they keep putting Crysis on consoles. I'm like, bro, Crysis is not a console game.
Yeah.
It is a PC game. And that's what it's supposed to be for. And same thing with Half-Life to me. I don't know why Half-Life came out on consoles.
It was, I think,
You know,
when Half-Life came out, I think that was when they were trying to figure out, like, I think that over the last decade, there's been a lot of effort put into, I think, creating a blueprint for porting FPS titles on PC to console, where they were like, I think it's been made clear to people, here's what you do to get controller support. Like, you implement all your keyboard mouse controls like you always do, and then this is what you do for controller support. You need these sensitivity settings, you need to do this, you need to program it like this, and then you're good. Like, that's all you really got to do. And then you just have the ethical argument of mixing the players, because it's weird, because usually they have aim assist on controllers, and it's like, do you let them aim assist people on PC who don't have aim assist? It's weird. But they're doing that now too, though. I mean, Call of Duty's like that. I don't even know what Call of Duty does. I don't know. I assume that console players do get aim assist and PC players do not, but I still feel like I do pretty good against console players. I
think console players do get aim assist.
I
I think they do.
still whip around a corner and see somebody in the corner of my eye that I just walked past and turn around immediately and shoot them. And They can't do that.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. Can't do that on console. That is elitist Aaron for people who don't know he exists. He is not always humble. So that's enough of our Stalker 2 talk. What was after Stalker 2?
People were excited about this. I don't know. I don't know anything about Warhammer. To me, I was like,
Okay.
so they're making like Left 4 Dead,
Another
but Warhammer.
another PC that look, this is another one. Warhammer is another one of those PC titles.
Well, kind of. I mean, Warhammer is a big nerd franchise, right? It's like
Yes.
it's like
huge.
it's like Magic expanding into games, except Warhammer has been expanding into games, but they've been a little hit or miss over the years, I feel like. But because they've been trying to make like they had like a Warhammer action game or something. I think in the PS3 360 generation, they tried to start making some different games.
I think it was trash.
Yeah,
trash.
and now they're like making Left 4 Dead. That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
there was 4 people and there was
another one
a
of those
big
games
horde
for
of zombies, and I was like, all right, I guess. And
It's another one of those games for me, Aaron. It's one of those games that fall into that this is really for PC players only category, but we'll put, I feel like they're reaching their hand out because yes, it is. It's for those, for your kids that play the board games that, Warhammer 40K, right? I had a roommate in college that played Warhammer 40K. I think he did the whole action figure thing and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But huge PC guy. It seems like PC players are just a different breed of gamer. And I feel like half of this show is dedicated to them in a way that people aren't really seeing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, when I saw Warhammer and when I saw Stalker and when I saw Grounded, I was like, oh yeah, they're really trying to get PC players to buy into the fact that they're talking to them.
Yeah. It's I mean, I think that Warhammer does it. I think that they do want it on console because I think in their minds, as far as the higher ups are probably like our fan base that buys our stuff consistently is this big, and statistically, probably 60% of them at least play video games, probably more than that. And if we get half of that to buy our video game just off of name alone, which they will do, this will be profitable, and that's probably all it is. So I mean, I hope it's fun. I like Left 4 Dead type of games, but I'm looking forward to Back 4 Blood. You heard about that one?
No, I guess we'll put that in the next show.
It was announced a little while ago. They don't have footage of it, but it's Turtle Rock, the people that made Left 4 Dead 1, and then Valve bought Left 4 Dead and then took it from them and made Left 4 Dead 2. Turtle Rock is making Back 4 Blood because Valve has been sitting on it, letting it die like all their other franchises. This looked, I was hyped for Tetris Effect, dude. That was a great trailer, and that the multiplayer stuff that they showed in that looked very cool.
I'm glad you said that because it's funny. I watched that video, and it gave me Xbox 360 vibes. I remember when they released Pac-Man. Remember that Pac-Man Championship Edition they did? That Pac-Man DX or whatever the hell it was? Mm-hmm. It was the first time ever me and my mom played video games together. Because she loves Pac-Man, right? Yeah. And when I saw Tetris Connected, I was like, man, like, that's something I could, play with,
I mean,
my parents or something, like something that, they could get and we could spend time together. I was like, I didn't think it belonged at the show, but I understood its purpose. Like, they wanted to show, hey, there's something for everyone.
It was a bit of a big deal in that was PlayStation exclusive before, right? I think it's on PC, but it was a console exclusive on PlayStation, so they got it now. And then that was a really highly rated game. Everyone I know, I didn't even play it because I'm me and I don't have time to play anything. But my brother played it and he was like, man, everyone that's ever played it was like, it's like a weird experience. It's like a Zen thing you sit in. The visuals are so crazy and like the music is so good. And you just get in there and you play Tetris, and it's like half about presentation and half about just playing Tetris. But when they showed like they showed competitive, and I was like, oh, cool. But then they showed like co-op. They like took four people's boards and smashed them together, and then you got some blocks that would be like 4 times larger than usual, and you had to find places for them across the four boards. I was like, that's cool. I mean, that's they put spins
They
on
put some real
Tetris.
effort.
Yeah, they put spins on Tetris like infinite times before, but that's one of the first ones that I saw that I was like, that is interesting and it sounds fun. I mean, co-op Tetris, have they ever had that before? I mean, that sounds pretty
No,
cool.
no, they haven't. No, they haven't. But this is why I like talking to you about video games though, because there's a certain technical and artistic quality that you have to see in certain games, right? Every game's not meant to be a Hollywood level blockbuster style of video game.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be that to be good or be important. You know what I mean? So when I saw it, I was like, I see why they're doing this. Like I said, I don't think it belongs at a show like this, but I see why they're talking about it. Because when you're selling Game Pass, you have to also sell it to the parents and children, and you have to think outside the realm of just hardcore 5% gamer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you turn your Xbox Series X on during Christmas, and kids will be back in school by then, right? It'll be in somebody's living room. And let your mom go on, turn on to see what the hell it is. And she's like, oh, I know what Tetris is. She played Tetris. And then, there's a generational gap building thing with video games when you have games like that,
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, people like yourself and myself will play Tetris. I'll
Yep.
gladly play Tetris and
Tetris
with
is
my
great.
friends and not give a shit. It'd be a cool party game.
Yep.
Everybody hanging out together. Let's play fucking Tetris.
Yeah, which does make it more accessible, because before it was just a single player experience and it was a VR experience, which is just very personal and not at all connected. And that was
In VR, I think
that.
that shit would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of people liked, but I was like, it's cool that it was so widely loved. It's on more platforms now, which is always good, and has multiplayer, and it looks like they put some real thought and effort into it. So I wonder if that's even an expansion. I think that's probably just a new game. I wonder.
think
I
it
don't,
is.
I don't actually even know, but
I think it is.
so cool. Next up was the Gunk. I wrote the first thing was again, who was making this? Because it was on. I was watching it. It was very long. She kept running through environments and she was cleaning stuff up, and it had cool art design. And I was like, it looks like the gameplay is solid. And then they were just like, and it's coming out. And I was like, wait, but who made that? What is that? I couldn't even Google it at the time because it had just been announced, and there were no search results yet. Oh, it's the makers of SteamWorld.
Yeah, SteamWorld.
So that's a pretty big deal.
That is a big deal. But the funny thing about it is I did like the artwork. I love the art style. It gave me Super Mario Sunshine vibes when I saw it.
It was like a nice,
the
fun
whole cleaning,
game.
Yeah, the whole cleaning stuff up. Again, this is another one of those games that falls into this category of games Microsoft never used to do as a first-party thing, which is make games that are artistically outside your normal
Right.
blockbuster game realm. Because there are a lot of people who really like games that are a little bit more nuanced or a little bit more artistically driven, or games that are a little bit more, a little bit more cuddly, I guess you could say. Something they can wrap their arms around and feel like, yeah, it's not as hardcore. You know what I mean? And the Gunk falls into that for me. I saw it. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
They'll sell merchandise with that. That's a sellable character.
Right. Which I feel like SteamWorld is another one that kind of it wasn't. I don't really know.
We'll be right back on the screen right now, by the way.
Oh no, that's only for you. I'm in studio mode. It's not live for everyone else, but it probably is on your preview. It's one of those like I don't know much about it, but I know that it's real popular. So I'm sure people are excited for that. I'm sure that the developers are good, and I'm sure they have a solid plan for that to support it. Because I mean, SteamWorld is like think it's got all kinds of expansions and all kinds of stuff. But um, so we're coming up on the end of it, which I can't believe that we're coming up on the end of this presentation, and the games that are remaining on my list right now. The Medium.
Okay.
Who made this?
That's the one I wanted to talk about.
It was spooky. It looked the graphics were nice. I didn't catch the developers again because they didn't show them at the end. Because it's got to be somebody, right? If it's Akira Yamaoka is composing.
I think he's doing the music.
Yeah, so that's the Silent Hill composer. That's a big deal. Who was Bluebird Team?
Is that it?
They're called Bluebird Team. They were founded in 2008.
Bluebird Team. They made Blair Witch. I remember them.
That's the only game I recognize off of this entire list.
Okay, look. So
that Blair Witch game wasn't that great, right?
No, it wasn't. Okay, look. So
wow, they hyped that up.
Follow me. I was not high on this game because this game is confirmed for 30 frames a second. Okay? It has been confirmed. It is 4K 30 frames per second.
So that's why I looked
now. Now, I guess I'm not as like, you know me. I told you I'm not playing no 30 frames per second games, so I'm not playing this one. But I guess I see why you could go with it. It's not going to be anything that's high action, high energy, high. You know, I guess games like this, you can get away with 30 FPS and going 4K and then, all right, it's whatever, right? But I'll say this. When I saw that they were running 2 dimensions at the same time, like the whole game.
Oh, that was cool. And you know what?
Running 2 dimensions simultaneously.
Yeah, you know what? I will say, now that I look at my impressions and my notes of it, they showed that, and I was like, that is dope because it goes with the story where they were like, she is experiencing 2 realms, and that's just how she is, and that's how she can sense things. And they render that for you by just showing you both worlds at both times. That's something I don't think has ever been done before that I can think of.
That is the most impressive technological thing I've ever seen. I've never seen that. And if that's what they're doing, the 30 frames a second thing for me immediately became a acceptable thing. Because now I'm like, well, you're rendering 2 different things at the same time.
Yeah, that's more than 60 frames per second. It's not. It's more than just the same thing at 60 frames per second. Like, yeah.
So.
Oh man, my buddy Juice, I think that's dude's from way back in the day. He said that he thinks that it's one of the dev teams that got bought by Cayman Island investors, which is the people who bought Star Citizen. So maybe that's why it was at the end of the Xbox Games Showcase, because there was money behind it, and they paid up for that that #1 spot there. But I guess that would make sense.
I get it.
But yeah,
I get it.
It's that did. I liked that concept, and then hopefully the story is good, and hopefully the game delivers. So that was cool. Again, that's just like, it was like, why did they even Phantasy Star Online 2? Sure, they started showing it.
Phantasy Star Online 2, blah blah. Okay, look.
New Genesis. They're trying to launch it to America so hard, and they're so late to the game. I'm like, you are never gonna convince me that this isn't an MMORPG from like 2012 or whenever it came out. It's like, it is not new.
Okay. but I'm gonna give them some credit before we shit on them, right? So before we get in our this game's old as hell bag, this is what I'll say. The fact that they're the sole reason that this game exists in the West, because Phantasy Star Online 2 like wasn't ever gonna come over here. Like,
Right.
it's never gonna be a thing. So the fact that they're the sole reason that it exists over here and gave it enough new life that an expansion, that they're making new expansions. um I have to give them credit for that as far as they're attempting to get things going in Japan, because that's always been a struggle for them, getting things going in Japan. So I think this was like one of those things that's a big first step. Like, look, we're gonna invest in getting this over to the West, and we're gonna put enough money in where new expansions are a viable thing. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, I mean I'm sure they're doing well enough, and that's why they're doing it. And but I'm just like, man. Oh, and you know what? This PC Gamer headline says that New Genesis looks like a complete overhaul of the MMO. So maybe it is different, and maybe it is more. I did think that it looked a little. I feel like PSO's never been about tons of really gigantic bosses. It's it's always been about going through a level or an environment or a little
I
world
think
and
that's the Monster
fighting a lot of
Hunter influence,
enemies,
man.
and then and then you would get to the end and maybe there'd be a boss. He wouldn't be like a towering fucking behemoth, but
I feel like that's
but
obviously the Monster Hunter
yeah,
influence on
they were
things.
like
Monster
they
Hunter
started
is
showing
really fucking
combat and it
popular.
was just big boss after big boss after big boss after big boss. I was like, where's the you gotta fight all the classic PSO enemies? Like they were just showing the bosses, and I was like, man, it's
And that big ass
kind
sword.
of weird, yeah. But where's the guy? I don't know. It's like Americans want PSO. Uh, what was it called? Episode 2. I was gonna say it wasn't PSO 2. We liked Fantasy Star Online Episode 2. I think that's the one that we got on GameCube and Xbox. Um,
Look, man. Apparently we didn't like Fantasy Star nothing, because that shit wasn't even supposed to come over here.
yeah.
So like anybody that's complaining about PSO, I'm gonna be like, bro, you didn't give a fuck about PSO. That shit was not even supposed to be over here, like, at all.
Yeah. Man, I will say I got into they ported the entire original series to PC and it was called Blue Burst, and I did find a way to play it in America illegally on Japanese servers, and
All right,
it
I'm
was
glad we're
fun.
admitting that on the podcast.
Yeah,
What's
asshole.
the next game? What's the next game?
What?
What is Crossfire?
Why?
Stop it.
Who? What was this? Why?
Uh,
Why was this? It's like somebody with mobile money or something is making a free-to-play shooter, and they paid for this big spot. They were like to announce that there's a paid campaign to their like generic free-to-play shooter. What?
okay.
I don't know. Maybe there's something up with that game, but I was like, this show's wrapping up, and I don't know why I'm watching this right now.
Okay. Number one, Remedy is doing it. Okay. So with Remedy doing it,
What do they do again?
I'm very, Remedy made Alan Wake,
They're doing.
and they
That's
and they
weird.
made what was the name of that game on the fucking Xbox One? Hold on.
So
It
Remedy
was
and Smilegate made. Oh no! It seems like Smilegate made the multiplayer game
and
part of it. Probably.
Remedy made Control. Remedy makes good games. They made Control. They made Alan Wake, and there's one more that they made that I'm missing. It was on Xbox One.
Weird. What? Yeah, a new take
I'm
on the
looking it up.
popular online FPS. That is so weird. They must have
Quantum
paid.
Break. That was it.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
it.
No, I mean they're
Oh,
top tier developers. They
yeah, Remedy's great.
this
So
this Smilegate and their uh, major conglomerate Korean overlords must have paid Remedy so much money.
I mean, and obviously Microsoft, because Remedy usually only makes games for Microsoft. So, I'm sure Microsoft had interest in Crossfire X because it makes so much money, and I'm sure they wanted something with that name recognition on their console to to appeal, right? And Remedy being a top tier developer, they would trust Remedy to get it done right. I think Crossfire X is going to be the first party answer to Call of Duty because Activision keeps not giving Microsoft anything.
I don't know. I think they would like it to be that maybe, but I think that at the end of the day, Crossfire X is still a free-to-play Korean multiplayer shooter, and they
No,
they
yes.
clearly were like, we have the deepest. I'm reading up on. It's very successful worldwide,
Yeah,
in
it's
China, of
incredibly
course.
successful. Crossfire X is popular as hell in
Um,
Asia,
yeah.
right?
So they have so much money, and they were like, hey, these guys just got done making Control. How much does it cost for you to just make us a single player campaign? And they were like, $200 million, and they were like, all right, here you go.
And it seems
They're like, I
like
guess
they
we're making a
want to
military
have
story.
exactly, and I feel like they want to have a Call of Duty-esque type of answer, and bringing out the campaign creates a story. So it gets that single player, the people that like single player games, it gets them to buy it,
Mhm.
and then maybe that introduces them to Crossfire multiplayer. I'm sure they'll have some type of package where when you buy Crossfire single player campaign, they'll have some type of link that says multiplayer in there, and then you click the link and you get to play that multiplayer. I'm sure they're gonna have it.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So
And that'll be how they. I mean, it's a. I can't knock them for the strategy. It's just weird. It's just like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a Korean shooter that's popular. I just don't know enough of them. But it's just weird that one of those like bought a campaign by paying another developer to make it for them. Kind of weird, and it made me. I guess I would have. Maybe I didn't catch that it was Remedy during the trailer or something, but
yeah.
all I know is that they showed all that, and I was like, this looks really high quality, and then they were like, Crossfire X, the single player campaign. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah, hey man.
um,
Remedy's back trying something new.
and then
I'm
they,
sure it'll be good because I don't think they've ever made a bad game. They made Max Payne 1,
Yeah.
they made Max Payne 2, they made Alan Wake, they made Control, and they made Quantum Break, all of which are very, very good. So
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be good.
it'll be like a that one war shooter that everyone still talks about to this day. Uh, that is like very sad, and you know what I'm talking about? Oh man, did I even buy that on PS3? I think I just got it on PC. Um, the cover of it was brown. It had a big black logo. It had a soldier on the front of it. That sounds like every game of all time. But um, oh, there's the picture of it. Don't
You got
show
a
me.
picture of it?
Don't show me a top 10 video. Just tell me what that which
Found a
game
picture of it?
is that? I'm looking for the cover art. 'Cause that's how I know it by. If anybody's watching, you know what I'm talking about. People got to know. It was sad. It was Spec Ops: The Line. There, I literally added the word "sad" to my search, and it was the first thing that came up. Spec Ops:
Military
The
shooter.
Line is supposed to be, it was a single-player game. It was a military shooter, and it was. People were just like, the story is really crazy and very good, and it got very good reviews for that.
Military shooter. Sad.
Yeah. So they tried to blow our socks off. They tried to throw the Elder Scrolls 6 announcement at the end. Something big. I don't know. Are people excited about Fable in 2020?
So I'm about to answer that. Hold on. I'm looking at my notes.
We had a Fable 3, right? What did Fable?
Okay. Yes, we did. We
Wasn't
had a
it
Fable
wasn't
3.
it weird? Wasn't like people were kind of starting to wane on that?
It's just Peter Molyneux was at the end of his rope with this whole being this crazy guy that promises a whole bunch of stuff and never does it. Because remember he made the black and white. He made black and white and
Yeah, his ideas for
Fable
games
1.
were beyond the scope of anyone's capabilities to develop.
Yeah, he was just way too smart. He was way too smart to be a game developer. Like he should have been something else.
He was
So,
ambitious.
Yes. Fable's getting rebooted completely, and I'm glad this is our last game, right?
Do you know? Is it made?
So-
it's not made. Is it Peter Molyneux? Is it
No,
the same
no, he's not
anyone?
involved. It's being done by Playground Games. Playground Games did the Forza Horizon series. So,
Really?
yeah, so they're a
Wow.
good developer.
Yeah.
Very, very good developer, and this is our last game. It is so because obviously we're talking about Halo after this, and we've been talking about this shit for like an hour. So it shows you guys what you're gonna get when you watch Third Key. We're gonna get into tangents, and
Yeah, we're still at least only at an hour. I was like, I've been watching.
Yeah.
I've been keeping tabs.
So look, Fable is being rebooted. It's just Fable. It's not gonna be called Fable Forest. It's gonna be Fable. Okay. And from what I understand, Forza Motorsport is going to be not Forza 8, it's going to be Forza. And Halo Infinite is not going to get a sequel anytime soon. So with Fable, I'll say this. I like the little trailer they showed. I like that they're keeping the comedic kind of look of Fable, like where the fairy got eaten by the toad. Like Fable's always had this comedic thing to it, right? So it shows me the Playground Games at least understands Fable. And based upon what I've been reading about Microsoft's ideas with their first-party studios, Fable is going to be like its own platform. And Forza is going to be its own platform. And Halo is going to be a platform. So they're going to be games that run the cycle of the console.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that makes sense.
And
That's
they'll be
clearly how
added
they're.
to.
Yeah. Man,
And,
when's that Fable gonna come out though? That seems like it's probably pretty far off. But
I
again,
think Fable, if I had to put my money on it, I think Fable will come out next holiday.
I'm betting further out than that. I think we're not even gonna see it until next summer. But
I think next summer we're gonna see it. I think next holiday is coming out.
I mean, it doesn't really matter when it comes out, if it comes out later or not, because the other thing that they're doing away with is probably I think that they would like to do away with the idea of generations. I think that's what they're working
Yes.
towards. Because they're just going to be, you got this level of hardware and it can play it like, this good. I think they're not going to have these major stretches between major hardware upgrades. They'll probably just do the phone route and be like, well, you know what? It's actually starting to cost a little bit more money for us to make that old system. So we're just going to get rid of it. And we'll make a new one. It's a little better.
Yep.
Same price.
And you don't have to upgrade to this one immediately. We're just not selling that no more. And you can still play that game and we'll scale it. Mm-hmm. That's why scalability is important. So with Fable, I was excited. I think people are excited to see Fable. Fable is a good RPG. I think people love it, and I'm sure people will be happy when they finally get a real release date. But now we're going to talk about the meat and potatoes. I'm going to make this quick. We're going to get this over with. So let's just go ahead and just wrap this up so we can move on to the next thing. Okay? Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Okay.
I mean, that's it. So they, I think at the end they also just said again, all titles are coming to Xbox Game Pass. And I said a note that it was nice that the quality of the live stream was very high and didn't look like trash, like
the first one,
like the Sony one did.
I mean, yeah,
quality was terrible.
So about that Halo though, right?
Is Halo officially in all caps?
Yeah, man, Halo's all caps.
Is that the?
Halo's always been all caps.
I was gonna say, is that the official?
It's HALO all caps.
Styling of the title.
So we saved Halo for last just because it was the most polarizing game of the show, right? I'm gonna say the good stuff before I even get into this. Okay, gameplay looked amazing. Like they get Halo now. 343 gets Halo now. Like you see. Like they changed the art style of the elites. They don't look like dinosaurs anymore. Like they went back to looking like the elites.
That's true. They were kind of changing how they looked. I didn't play 4 or 5, but I do remember them
4 and 5
changing things and people being kind of iffy about that.
The elites look more like hulkish figures in 4 and 5, right? And they changed the elites back, and like you can see on the box art that they were paying homage to Halo 1. Mm-hmm. So like the idea, like the roaming around and it being open world, like I like what 343 is doing in that direction. Okay, so this is my issue. They don't understand the IP that they have. Okay, I get that it was an early build. You know, I'll let Aaron get into the graphics. You know what I'm saying? Because it's funny. He has screenshots or whatever. The graphics don't mean as much when it comes to you showing me this as an early build. I think Halo needs to be a technical showpiece for the console. Me personally, I feel like, you know what I'm saying, we should have been looking at 120. Like, I felt like that should have been like where we was having this conversation at. Maybe in multiplayer, like at least in multiplayer, because I know with ray tracing you ain't getting 120. So at least in multiplayer, they need to be talking about 120. We'll have that conversation. But to show the early build that they show lets me know that they don't understand how important the IP they have is, if that makes sense. You know, and Halo is one of the 3 most important franchises in gaming. You got Halo, you got Mario, you got Grand Theft Auto. Those 3 franchises, if they're showing a game, I don't care what game you pick. I don't care what fan of what console you are. I don't care what you think. I don't care how important you think your game is. Okay? If they name your game and Halo, Mario, or Grand Theft Auto are on the marquee, nobody cares about your game until after they see that game. Okay? They're going to watch that one first. So when you have that level of importance with your franchise, you cannot show something that is not done. You can't do it. It is impossible.
And they've been putting it off. They've been trying not to, but time was up.
Look, you got to say no. Aaron, you have to say no.
Yeah, I mean,
you cannot show it. Because if it's not done, people are going to judge the entire first-party studio on that game.
Well, and what stinks is that I don't expect this to look that much better for launch because it's so close. And I think that that's also just they would probably prefer to have more time before releasing it. But Microsoft probably said, nope, it needs to be out.
I think the budget is half a bill. The budget's half a bill. Now, allegedly, like I'll say this, there was no texture on the guns, right?
Yeah,
so that does let me know that it was an early build. No texture on guns means early build, okay? But why would you even show it?
It's crazy to me too that you could show this off and then not. You know, this looks like the kind of game that should have high frame rate. It should be unlocked frame rate, support VRR, support variable refresh frame rate. You should be getting more than 60 on this game if it looks like this. But they couldn't even say that. All they could say was 4K 60.
That's my point. So if it's going to be 4K 60, my expectation is also no ray tracing out of the box, which is nuts. They're patching in ray tracing. And I was like, wait, what? Patching? All right, whatever. But they should not have showed it. That's it, man. Like, they gave in to the pressure of fans. Like, this is sometimes you have to hold your ground as a company. Who gives a fuck if a bunch of nerds on the internet said you didn't show gameplay, so I don't want to watch your showcase? Eat a dick. Who cares? Like, if you know Halo's not ready to be shown, do you think Nintendo would show an unfinished Mario game, Aaron? Do you think they would do that?
They won't even tell you they're making it. They'll just wait.
End of the conversation,
man. They'll just wait, and then they'll be like, it's ready. Finally, the new Mario is here. It's coming out in 6 months. People, and they lose their minds.
Yes, man. You got to understand what type of game you have, and that's my issue with 343. Because I think Halo is going to be really good, bro. That the gameplay looked fun, and at the end of the day,
it looks like
that's going to be a fun ass game.
I can't here, and I'll do this too. I couldn't believe how much it looks like. Which I don't know what some people like. I was talking to my buddy, and that didn't really appeal to him. He was like, it just looks like old Halo. But for me, I was like, wow, this really looks like old Halo. And there's something so charming about it, and it's part of why old Halo was so good. and I like that. I was like, this looks so fun to play. Like you were saying, the gameplay with the enemies and everything and the AI does all look great, but I mean, it just has that aesthetic. It has that sci-fi feeling. It's very classic. It's like a Star Wars game, looking right and looking like a movie. You know, we're trying to find that.
Theft Auto game hasn't looked like Grand Theft Auto. Name the Grand Theft Auto that hasn't played like Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
Name the Mario game that hasn't played like Mario. When I play Mario, am I jumping on the enemy's head? Am I running? Am I jumping? Right? People have to understand, like, I think because of what happened with God of War, people have this idea that you're just supposed to go in and change, make massive changes to a franchise to make it appealing. I'm like, look, bro, Halo needs to play like Halo. Okay? This is what Halo needs to play like, what Aaron is showing right now. If Halo's not playing like this, the fan base is not going to be happy. And the fan base has not been happy for the last 2 games. They want Halo to play like Halo. Like,
you know what they said? He walked up to this warthog, and he started driving it, and that shit was slippery as hell.
Yep, that's what
he
they
pulled
want.
this very first turn. He was like, "Erk," and drifted that whole thing.
That's what people want. That's what people want. And the funny thing, so I don't know if people are any watchers are in the Halo community, they hate sprint. Like, they hate that Master Chief sprints. That's how old they want Halo to feel. They don't want sprint in the game. They're mad that he runs.
Right, because that's not Halo. Halo's part of the combat in Halo, and part of the multiplayer combat especially, is that you're not sprinting around. It is slower paced. You have to take that into account. You have to get good cover, because there's no cover system. You got to work your environment well, and that's just all part of Halo. Man, I love that you can jump out the car though.
Oh yeah, man. Like, look at this. This is fun.
This is Halo.
Right,
it looks like
Halo.
It looks like you. I mean, which again, I don't know if this appeals to you or not, but this looks like I'm traveling back in time and I'm playing Halo 2 or Halo 3 campaign for the first time, and all this stuff's happening. It's great. You know, it's playing so smooth. You got all the classic elements. And there's something about the aesthetic too. It's not. It really is about the speed of the movement, the lighting. The lighting is very HD, old school Halo, and I like it. It's not the most technically impressive looking lighting, because it's not overdone or whatever. But it's Halo. I mean, that's how
it needs to play.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to play like what we're watching right now. So when I saw how it played, I was like, oh, that's Halo. Like, this is why Halo is, in my opinion, obviously, because everybody has their favorites. Halo to me is the best first-person shooter from a gameplay perspective ever made, because the enemies react to what you do to them. Like, too many times, I played Call of Duty, I played Battlefield, I played Doom, I played all these games. When you shoot an enemy, like, it's like no outcome. Every battle is the same in all of them. I know where the enemy's gonna be. I know what they're gonna do when I shoot at them. I know exactly. Like, Halo's not like that. Like, you saw the Elite when he shot at him, and the Elite rolled, and he tried to get out the way, and it's like, that's Halo. Mm-hmm. So if it's not playing like that, the fans are gonna be pissed.
That's when they really do get mad, because that's what they did with 4 and 5. I feel like, where they were like, it looked very nice, and people were like, yeah, but how come it doesn't have this thing that I come to expect from Halo?
Yeah. Like, and they were beautiful games.
That stuff was not as important to them. They were like, but it's not. It doesn't really feel like Halo. It feels like you guys made Halo and you're not Bungie. So like,
and I'm out here fighting cyborgs, and because like people, you were fighting
they tried to make
robots.
Yeah, they're trying to make their own, races and stuff like that. And
but look at that, man. He grabbed a canister with the what do you even call that? What would you even call
it? The grappling hook. Which is that a new thing? That's never been in a Halo, has it?
No.
That's new.
Grab the canister, threw the canister. Like, do you understand how different the gameplay is going to be in multiplayer with a grappling hook?
I wonder if it'll be in it, honestly.
Oh, it's going to be in it. It's going to be in it.
I feel like it'll be an option, but it seems like something that the more I think about it, since there is no sprint, still, even though this is an open world game, that seems like what that's
Yes.
there for is
God, that's
faster
awesome.
faster traversal. You can get up on cliffs and hills and stuff faster, and then it also adds some spice to the gameplay, which without seeming too complicated, it all looks very simple. It looks like you're either pulling something towards you or you're pulling yourself towards something, and then what are the things you can pull towards you? The same kind of things that you interacted with before, the explosive canisters and everything. It's all stuff that you would expect to probably be able to grab somebody's shield, pull a little enemy towards you, do all that stuff.
You know what?
It makes sense right away.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. The one thing I always wish they had was something to take the shield away.
Besides like just shooting,
from the
throwing that
jackals.
grenade.
I always wish they had something to take the shields away from the jackals. And if I can use a grappling hook, like the speed of the game, because when you fight the jackals slow down the combat because they have shields. So you got to pop the shield and then shoot them in the head. But if I got a grappling hook now, like the speed it never stops, bro. It just never stops.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be so fast.
Yeah.
And so
cutscenes too.
Just fix the graphics, 343. Fix the graphics, man. Just fix the graphics so people can shut up. Cause I know it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I know it's gonna be fun.
Just
fix
like
the graphics.
please make it look nicer. Yeah. I can't believe they showed this guy's face for so long. It did not look very impressive. But
he had the plastic face.
Are they loading right now? Is that what they're doing? I mean, they got to be loading.
Face, man.
They're loading something right now. But I did think it was interesting that you said that this game wasn't going to have loading screens and stuff like that. And I'm glad that didn't mean that the cutscenes were just going to be you walk somewhere and you stand there and look at NPCs talking.
Nah, they're doing single shot. So they're doing a single shot.
He went in there, and it
in a single shot.
It transitioned to. I mean, it seemed like a cutscene, but it didn't really stop. You walked in here, you started seeing this, and then it instantly cut to another scene that's being rendered live, which is neat. It still doesn't slow anything down. You're not transitioning. You're not having a load screen, watching a cutscene, and then coming back into the game. Whenever this is over, presumably, I'm sure you just started controlling Master Chief again, So
the part when he gets out the Pelican, you can see what I was talking about with it being a single shot, like God of War was, where he gets out the Pelican, he has the cutscene, and then the camera just goes straight into his visor, and you just start playing. So the cutscenes they're not like set up to be like loading. You're not loading into the next part of the game, but like we said, 343, just fix the graphics, man. Fix the graphics so people can shut the hell up. Because otherwise, that shit plays. That's what Halo need to play like. If people say, like, when I saw people was like, oh, it looks boring, I'm like, yeah, bro, because you must just play Call of Duty or something. Like,
if anything, that looked very fun.
That game don't look boring. That game looks fun. It just needs to look better.
Yeah,
Like,
I first started, I really wasn't noticing too much. This all looks pretty good. I mean, I think Chief his character model is very high res, obviously. This dude is as well. And then, boop, popped it up. All those classic as hell looking UI elements came up. That's the same health meter. Is this also, I don't know anything about the lore at this point, but is this implied to be the ring from the first game?
Okay, so this is Zeta Halo. No, it's not. This is Zeta Halo that you're on. This is another ring. Well, wait a minute. Let me see. Is Zeta Halo the one that got rebuilt after you destroyed it? Give me a minute. I gotta
because
remember.
they got.
But I know we're on Zeta.
Where's the box art? This thing's screwed up, right? I mean, the ring is broke back there and everything.
Yes. Something happened that. So apparently there was a firefight, and I'm trying to, there was a firefight because if you peep, when he got to the end, they lost the war. Okay, so one of the rumors I read was the Infinity blew up because and basically destroy that part of the ring. The Infinity is the ship that you were on in the last game. So I do know you're on Zeta Halo. I do know the Flood will be back in this game. I do know that the Banished are from their faction that were introduced in Halo Wars 2. So for people that are like interested in the lore, I also think Halo has like some of the best lore in gaming, if not the best, because it's so deep.
It's good that they're referencing that too, instead of trying to just make new stuff.
Yeah, there's plenty to read on. Just go deep dive and find out more.
Is this one of them?
There's plenty of people to follow on YouTube if you want to get into that.
That thing looks like Halo 3 to me.
What?
I guess
Are you talking about the box art?
Yeah, this just that little structure in the back looks like it wasn't called Valhalla. What was the base map in Halo 3 that had the two bases in the forest in the middle of it, with the little river, little stream going through?
You talking about the classic one?
Yeah, in Halo 3. What was that map called?
I forgot actually.
That main one. I thought it started with the V, but it was Valhalla. I thought that was wrong, but
the one with the gravity lifts, with the gravity jumps on both sides that launch you to the other side of the screen.
Yeah, but look at this structure. I'm trying to get a good look at it.
I mean, like you
look
remember
look at this thing. That's kind of.
You remember Halo? You remember on Halo 1, right? Halo 1 they had those.
Did they? So is this just a standard thing?
It's Forerunner technology, man. It's look, we're not about to get too Halo nerdy. All right, look, fix the graphics. Okay,
yes,
fix the graphics 343.
They willingly put out this 4K 60 FPS.
Yes, look at that. Look at that. Like, we not accepting that. He looks like just a monkey. Like, come on, man.
His hands. This looks like. It looks like last gen. Everything about this looks last gen. Look at the texture detail. Especially this cliff back here, dude. These cliffs look like Xbox One cliffs. I mean, original Xbox cliffs. As far as like, it's just muddy textures from it. These trees look like the Pokemon game on Switch when they were clowning on trees.
Dog.
Like,
I didn't like the cliffs back there. They look like Minecraft cliffs. Like, like it should look like Minecraft back there. Like,
everything gets so muddy in the distance. And then they were playing he went up that elevator, and that was the first time I noticed live.
The pop in.
The pop in, dude. The
fog
was just so obviously popping in. I just missed it because he started looking away.
I saw it
all up there in the top right. Bloop bloop bloop. Popping in. The entire giant swaths of fog just boop. Not even like fading in or out. Just straight up popping. And that's ugly, man. You got to figure that out.
Look, man. Look. I'm gonna accept, because I'm looking at his gloves. Like, you see his gloves? There's no texture on the gloves. There's no texture on the gun. And Master Chief's gloves have texture on them in Halo 5 and Halo 4. So it's like there's no texture on any of the guns or the gloves. Like that. Look. I'm gonna believe that it's an early build of the game. Okay, I'm gonna believe it. Because there's no way it can look like that. It's just not possible. So I'll believe it. Maybe they'll surprise us and come out with like some bombastic, super fire shit and steal Game of the Year from the next game we about to talk about right now. Because
Jonathan Kelly said, "Did they design more than one tree? Every tree looks the same." That might be true.
Oh, Jonathan Kelly. Look, man, man. All those trees come from one singular tree that they just decided to just, put in this motherfucker like a million times.
It turns into mud.
Bro, that is so fucking cool, bro, that you can grab the canister with the grappling hook,
the way that he threw it too, you said.
That is so fucking awesome.
They sold it as like, this thing is heavy, but you are Master Chief. and
So you
he
could just pick.
yeeted
Yo,
that
you
thing
talking about
up
how
the
he
hill.
heaved it? You talking about how he heaved it? Oh
That's the
man,
thing.
I
Is like
cannot
everything else
wait
about this
to
it
do
does
that.
look so great. And you know what's going to be crazy too, and you know why the tech is probably hard. You're going to get into a Banshee, and you are going to fly around this enormous, the whole Halo. You're going to be able to travel across a Halo. You've never been able to do that.
Dog,
I
that's
mean
so it's so
that's crazy.
crazy.
So like that is and that's probably why it's been so hard for them to develop this tech, because that was probably the dream. They're probably like, you got to be able to run end to end around the whole Halo, and you got to make that. so,
Hey, figure that out. Figure that out.
so I mean,
But
I get it, and that's cool. It's still exciting. I do think it's going to be a really great game, but it definitely does not look too hot. But you know, this is a bad screenshot. But
look at that, man. That is so bad.
you know,
That's a great
cut
screenshot though. Look at
scenes.
that.
This
Look at
looks
that.
great. I mean, the lighting on the
Look at the
characters.
hair.
It's
Look
again,
at that armor, man.
it is really kind of Star Warsy lighting as far as how they like to do stuff, but it's also Halo's aesthetic as well, where they made sure that they were nailing this aesthetic, and it really calls back to the old art design, but it is technically HD. Um, and I mean, we didn't need to see this though. You know, you didn't need to expose this to us. It's
Straight garbage, man.
not
Straight
not that
garbage,
great.
man. He looks straight. He looked like plastic. And then if you look at Chief in that picture,
This is a terrible
versus the
picture for
back,
one.
Look at the back. Look what's going on back there though. Garbage.
This is what open world games looked like at the beginning of this generation or older. I mean,
Garbage.
that's what they look like in the distance. It's like very, you know, there's going to be so
That's
much more
Minecraft,
detail.
bro.
I mean, PUBG renders more detail than this at this distance. I guess
Hey,
it's just
man.
it's one map though. It's not open world, but also this is a
Look,
terrible
man.
pose for him. It looks like a character. It looks like a person playing the game, turning.
Hey man, that
It's
is Minecraft back there. You know what I'm saying? Look at the garbage, man.
Yeah,
Just
come
make
on,
it
man.
Look better.
I mean, I think that the point is going to be I can go there, right? So, oh man,
Do you know how crazy it is that we're gonna be able to do that though?
yeah. I mean, that's especially if it's got to have co-op in some kind of way, right? We'll see, but is that a gun?
Is it? Oh, that's a gun?
It is a gun with it looks like a Gears of War gun.
Okay.
I
all
wonder
right.
what that is.
Master
I don't
Chief-
know.
Master Chief looks good though. Master Chief looks
But
good.
you know, and I heard
Okay.
too that you know, assault rifle looks like the old assault rifle. Battle rifle, I don't know if they got a screenshot of it. The battle rifle looks exactly like the Halo 2 battle rifle. I had seen a screenshot of it.
I love that box art. I love it.
This is a very pretty picture.
Yeah, that box art is awesome. That's great. It's great box art.
You know, they got some little bit.
Okay,
you know, going
all right. I see some detail.
up close when you get there.
I see some detail.
It's there.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
Hey, that's
yeah.
a different tree.
Yeah, there you go. You got the wide tree, and then these thin ones.
Different trees.
It does. Yeah, he said, "Isn't that the Brute Launcher?" It looks kind of like the Brute Launcher, but the Brute Launcher was no. It's this right here.
Oh,
So
that's that new brute gun.
it's
the
different.
laser
Yeah,
cannon
it's
thing.
new. That looked like it was fun to shoot. Honestly, he was tearing people up with that thing and just shot like 3 bursts and looked like it was doing some work.
I'm glad they gave the brutes some legit weapons instead of just a fucking spiker and you know, like I'm glad like they got some real shit. So okay,
Yeah.
Aaron, look. Okay, look. Okay. We're gonna talk about a game that actually looks good now. Okay, so one of the so I guess this is the swan song game for the PS4. It's breaking sales records in Japan, which is like incredible. And I'm not gonna say any bad things about this game just because the aesthetic that they chose to brush this game with is, I think it makes up for any level of shortcomings with any type of innovations. Because like what I try to do is I've always tried to congratulate developers who innovate, right? So I'm like, look, man, these guys did something that nobody else was willing to do, and they made that shit work. And then you guys come and take their ideas, and then you get the credit for it. We don't do that around these parts on the Third Key podcast. But these guys, okay, I played the first 2 hours of the game because I told my homies I'm not playing it till I get it on PS5. I'm not going to do it because I need that high fidelity. I want 60 frames a second. I might not get it, but I'm going to wait for it because I'm not playing this shit twice. All right? That ain't about to happen. But Ghost of Tsushima, congratulations to Sucker Punch, because guess what you guys did? You just made Sony a brand new franchise, and they gonna want 2 more games out of y'all. So I hope y'all already making them, okay? And yeah, like they pretty much nailed they've nailed combat in third person games that are not action titles. So I got to make sure I preface that. But they nailed the combat. It's better than Batman's combat. Honestly, I think it's better than Spider-Man's combat. And I thought Spider-Man's combat was like ludicrously good. I look, like Ghost, like they made a game with no fucking nav point and made it work. Like it's an open world game with no nav point, and it works. You know what? That was something they did that was innovative. I'll give them that. They figured out a way to put environmental elements, to make environmental elements your navigation points in the game.
Which is good, because then you look at the game. Because you know what I don't do when I play Ghost Recon and Destiny? You're looking and the Division. I either got a straight up laser light telling me what streets to run down in Division 2, and I probably just got my map up the whole time. I'm probably just looking at the map while in the background running on the waypoint. Or I'm in Ghost Recon or something, and I got some kind of vehicle, and I'm just looking at the compass going, oh, my waypoint's here, and I just need to beeline it there. I'm not looking at anything. That game there said, you're going to look at this game. You're going to look at this where we put it.
And I see why. I see why. It's very beautiful. It's incredibly beautiful, and it takes full advantage of like PS4 hardware. I have nothing bad to say about Ghost, like nothing. Hopefully Sucker Punch figures out what they need to do going forward to like make any level of improvements because I have no true criticism for it outside of figure out what's gonna make your game unique on a wide gameplay level. Like the whole I'm climbing up rocks thing, like all Sony exclusives games are third person. I climb up rocks and I'm a parkour master. Like all of them are that.
I take cover, and if I can shoot, it's a cover shooter.
Huh?
And if I can shoot guns, then I can take cover on things.
Yes, right. But that's not even a real criticism. You know what I mean? It's not even real. It's just like, look, you guys got one. Y'all got one. Like, y'all gonna be making 2 more of these. Just get them up. Get them ready right now. There's 2 more of these coming, y'all. Y'all getting a trilogy. All right? Sold too much. Congratulations to Sucker Punch. All right?
So,
congratulations.
I'm definitely waiting for PS5 for it. Should I do I need to wait? Do I need to wait for everything left on PS4? Do I just wait until PS5?
That's what I'm doing. Like
we're almost there. I mean, it's coming, right? I don't want to play God of War, man. I want to play God of War. I played all of the other games. I played 1 through 3.
I think the new one. I think God of War. If God of War was running 60 frames a second, I think it would be like God of War to me is already the best game on the console. It's the best game on the system to me. Okay. The only thing holding it back is that it runs 30 frames a second.
And that's the thing. I'm just like, I don't want to play it, and then they're going to be like 60. They're going to be like higher resolution, maybe not full 4K and 60 FPS. I would be pissed if I played it now in August, and then in like 2 months, like 3, I probably wouldn't even finish it, and they would have the next version of it out. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
I
can
feel
just
the
wait.
same way about
I'll
Ghost.
just find other stuff to play, and in the meantime, I'll come back to
Yeah,
it.
I feel the same way about Ghost. I was just like, bro, I don't want to ruin my enjoyment of this game if they raise the fucking graphical fidelity. Like, um I want faster frames. Cause I did a couple fights and I was like, man, if this shit was 60 FPS, it'd be so much better. And it's already
Yeah.
really good.
And like, and then with God of War 2, I mean, that was God of War. It was supposed to be 60 FPS. That was part of it. And they didn't even have that.
So the funny thing about God of War, now that we're like, since you brought it up, God of War had to change. And since we were talking about Halo, you know, I'll make this point is God of War had to change. And people, you know, ask why. I'm like, well, because God of War was a fast-paced action title, and it wasn't better than games that were even 10 years older than it. Like when you talk about the action games, the gold standard for years to me was Ninja Gaiden Black. So Ninja Gaiden Black was the best action game ever. Then Bayonetta came out, and Bayonetta probably surpassed it, right? I think Bayonetta became the best action game ever. All the while, God of War existed. And I was like, I don't think it's better than Devil May Cry. I don't think it's better than Ninja Gaiden. I don't think it's better than Bayonetta. I don't think it's better than Vanquish. I don't think it's better than, like, I was just naming games. I was like, I don't think it's better than that Metal Gear Solid. Remember that Metal Gear Solid action game they came out with where you could cut anything?
Oh yeah, Revengeance. I love that game.
Revengeance.
I love that game a lot.
I was like, it's not better than any of these games. I was like, it's really good. It's just not better than any of these games.
It's like, I mean, what it was like Mortal Kombat for action games. It was like
yes.
Street Fighter is dope. Marvel vs. Capcom is dope. But you know what America loved? Mortal Kombat, because it was edgy and it had blood, and it was violent. And they liked God of War because it was very edgy and very violent and had a lot of gore. So they ate it up. But if you were actually comparing it to other action games, it's like, well, it doesn't play as good as these games.
Nah, it's nowhere near. So that's why it had to change. They had to make a fundamental change to make it like better, you know, to improve where it ranked in its class. So, Ghost, you know, getting back to Ghost, I think if they figure out a way to, you know, to really make it unique outside of its aesthetic, because right, I feel like that's what really is the thing, right? Is the aesthetic. It could easily become the best, you know, I don't know what you want to call it. What do you call those style of games? Third person action platformer, like. Is that what we call those?
I don't know. I think they'd usually just call them action games and leave it at that, but there is definitely a specific flavor.
Yeah, you know, like that Uncharted, Tomb Raider area of game, right?
Adventure. I think that's that's when you get to add adventure to the.
Okay, third person action adventure. If they figure out something outside the aesthetic to truly make it unique. Because, you know, the only thing, and I can only go about, you know, because I always watch spoilers. So unfortunately for me, I'll just tell people, you know, I'll watch spoilers all day. Me playing it and watching the spoilers, it don't affect me. Like they gotta get rid of some of those fetch missions. Okay, we don't need a whole bunch of fetch missions. We don't need no escort missions. We don't need none of that. Get that shit out your game. That shit is outdated. Stop putting extra content in your games just to lengthen them out.
Every time somebody hits one of those, they know exactly what it is, and they are not enjoying themselves.
Get that shit out your games. Figure out a way to turn this game into what Uncharted 2 was. Uncharted 2 was straight adrenaline from start to finish. They figured out a way to make a game that was a straight action game that from start to finish, that shit never stopped moving. Like I was like, God damn, this is a good ass game. What's
weird to me is I feel like that's what people expected of that game when they announced it, of Ghost of Tsushima. That's
Yes.
because all
And,
they showed was very cinematic, very beautiful graphics, two dudes about to sword fight in a meadow with a bunch of flower petals, and you were like, that looks great. And this is coming off of God of War and Spider-Man and all these other single-player games that were just, I mean, Spider-Man's kind of open world, but you know, just single-player games that were just good games. And I think that's what people expected, but then they were like, oh, actually, it is one of these open world mission games, which at least it's pretty different. But yeah, it's like I kind of wish that they would. It's hard when they've already set the current precedent because there might be people who think that means less content out of your sequel. But it's like make a
it don't.
sequel, but make very less bullshit missions and way more very long, drawn out set piece, big
Yeah.
missions.
It's a fucking
Um,
samurai game. Give me samurai version of Uncharted 2. Give me like I want big ass action set pieces. I want crazy big fights, like in an actual like field, like when you did you play Assassin's Creed Odyssey at all?
no, but
Assassin's Creed
sure they
Odyssey
had a
had
big.
these fights where you would just like you would do faction fights. You know what I mean? Like like give me real war, like samurai. You know what I'm saying? Like
It's
get
like
that side mission bullshit up out of here. We don't need that.
you need
That
you
shit's
need
garbage.
you need consequences. If somebody comes and pillages a town and they destroy it, it needs to be gone. It's like don't. It's always nice when you play a game like that and you actually play a mission or something and you go, wow, they actually made this a unique mission that there's aspects about what's happening in the environment and things that are permanent that are not normal. They really made a normal freaking video game story mission, and that's nice because usually it's just even if it's an encounter with a character or a boss, at the end of the day, it's this boss is held up in this building. There's a lot of guards around him. We got some vehicles are going to come in or something, and they're going to be a part of it. And we plugged in all the numbers into the open world system, and we crafted a boss fight out of numbers. We didn't actually make anything, and we just had a cutscene before it and after it, and that's lame. It's like you want really big stuff that it happens, and you're like, this isn't just they plugged in a bunch of variables and they generated a fight for me. And that's what that game
Because,
seemed like it
yeah,
needs. Like,
well, like, look,
I'm sure it has
like
some
I
of that
said,
too, but
like,
yeah.
I mean, look, like I said, I'm gonna dive into it on PS5. I just already know that there's like because my first 2 hours into it, because I played first 2 hours. First 2 hours into it, I'm looking for something, and I'm like, I see this random ass side mission. I go to this lady. She's like, follow me. I need you to go help me do this thing. And I was like, nope, no, no. I was like, bro, we don't need to be doing none of that in this.
Right.
Like, give me the good stuff. I don't need none of that. This shit needs to be adrenaline, start to finish.
I'm watching.
That is the next step.
I'm watching
That is the
a samurai movie.
step.
I wanna. What is the next thing in the samurai movie? I'm trying to get to
Yes.
the next chapter. You want to know what happens.
Yes.
You don't want to. Yeah. So I don't know. And yeah, I brought up some stuff about this in general, but it's just that's just how people have been making games, man. And I really hope it doesn't.
Yeah, because it's all like this. People need to. It's like they're trying to validate purchases, if that makes sense, by lengthening games. So they're like, hey man, our game has to be like 1 million hours so people feel like they got their money out of it. And I'm like, no, they don't. They really don't. Like, you can literally make this Adrenaline Origins was bloated with side missions.
I mean, Ubisoft is notorious because they turned every one of their franchises into it.
I'm gonna tell you what game did this really well, actually. The Tomb Raider series did not have a bunch of useless side missions in it. The Tomb Raider series was pretty much straight to the point.
Well, was it open world at all, though?
It was in a way. Like, it was in a way. Like, you did these action set pieces, and it had a camp you roamed around. And, it's like Tomb Raider, the second one and the third one they had open areas. It wasn't like completely open world. It was like it had these big open areas that you could like go places to start a new mission, right? that's where I would like to see the genre go more. Be more focused on the set pieces.
Right.
And once that's like the standard, like that's what we really need to be doing. I don't like in Assassin's Creed, the whole running around, the whole Ubisoft formula to me is garbage. And that's what I don't want Ghosts to be. Like, it don't have to be the Ubisoft formula.
That's what I don't want.
Like,
I don't want Halo to be that either.
Yes, and that's the thing. That's the thing I'm worried about with Halo. So with Halo, I'm hoping that the open world is more like how how they show like, hey, you got these three anti-air cannons. You need to go destroy them. Be very specific in what I'm doing. How does this affect the story? All right, I gotta go destroy these 3 anti-air cannons. And then over here, you need to go rescue. You go rescue these soldiers. If you go rescue these soldiers, when you go to take down that base, it becomes easier. It is now easier to take that base down if you go get these soldiers. So I know why I'm doing this. I can either not rescue these fucking soldiers and go into this base, guns ablaze, and then take out this motherfucker by myself, or I can go get these soldiers and it decreases the difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Something like that. But I don't like usually time missions.
Like, and Halo will benefit from its own combat system in general, and that it is very dynamic. They can just throw a lot of different actors into a well-designed environment and make a ridiculous fight for you that's really fun and has a lot of dynamics, and it's fun to play and everything. And like they should be able to get away with that, because it's kind of what Halo is, and that's why people like it and what they're doing. It didn't always have the craziest set pieces that were interactive and stuff. I mean, they tried to a bit with some level destruction and stuff, but for the most part, what I'm thinking about...
That's not what Halo is.
Yeah, I'm thinking about big fights. I'm thinking about, I went into a cool level, or we started exploring a different area, and then there was different kinds of enemies, and I didn't need all that so much. What I really hope they do as well is that, and they should be able to do this, is like Breath of the Wild worked so well because they said from the get-go, you can march right up to Ganon's castle right now and beat the game if you want. It's just going to be hard as hell.
That is what I'm.
You can march
what I'm talking about.
right to that pillar where there's this big walking statue thing, and you can just go straight there and start doing it. You don't have to do any of this other stuff. If you want to, you can. And most of it, they had a side quest list in that game, and it was like 100. I think it was like 70 to 100 in the whole game. And they weren't all menial tasks. A lot of them were unique. Go find this oversized giant horse. There's only one oversized giant horse in the whole game, and it's one of the side quests. Like, they had a lot of unique content developed for it, and they had that. They had shrines, and they had go to these shrines, do unique puzzles. Yes, we used similar architecture for all of them, but you do unique puzzles and stuff, and then you get more upgrades for them, so you get more health, you get some more power. It makes fighting that last boss a little more easy. You can go do everything and then do the last boss. You can do a couple things, go to the last boss, whatever.
I think I saw somebody fight Ganon with a stick.
Yeah, you can march right in there. I mean, the speedrunners go in there with almost nothing. I think they do some ridiculous stuff to rack up ridiculous amounts of damage using the powers that he has, but that's cool, and Halo could do that. Like, Halo, if I want to go and throw myself into a more endgame mission, you should be able to do that. And then they should just be like, well, you didn't bring a whole bunch of weapons with you, or you didn't have certain upgrades for them and stuff like that. But it's possible, and I feel like there's nothing that should stop Halo from doing that. And they should be able to implement a good formula that isn't so cookie cutter like the Ubisoft stuff. But just make it more about exploration, man. I don't need these waypoints. I don't need to go somewhere and then they say, okay, now your map has 20 things on it and you can go run at them. Just let me run around Halos, man. That's all people want to do. I can explore it myself.
That's all I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do.
I don't need waypoints telling me everywhere to go. Just let me run around in a huge Halo level. That's fun. That in itself will be fun. So, like,
okay. So talking
they really
about
have
the,
something unique, but it should be. I hope it's good.
I mean, so since we're talking about the Ubisoft formula, obviously the Ubisoft Forward event happened, um, and I know I said we were gonna talk about Doctor Disrespect and Logic signing in Twitch, but I mean I feel like we kind of skipped that shit because we really didn't care. So all right, so the
We missed the
Ubisoft
boat
Forward
on it.
event,
Yeah.
so the Ubisoft Forward event happened, right? And I want to know what you were interested in because we just talked about their formula. And Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed and Far Cry all have the same exact formula.
Same formula with
Like,
different. They have a core gameplay, designed and then apply the formula. And that's like, man, it's so weird and disappointing. But I mean, at least it seems like with these three titles in particular, it seems like they do a bit better as opposed to some of the more cookie cutter stuff. I don't think the Division is that great. Ghost Recon is another cookie cutter one, but like, I mean, I thought that Watch Dogs game was an expansion to Watch Dogs 2. I think it's actually a
okay.
new game, but it did not look. My buddy pointed out too. He was like, "Man, Watch Dogs 1 was like, where granted it didn't really deliver in the end on its graphics, but they announced it with like we're gonna have the craziest graphics. It's all edgy. It's a realistic city. You got the hacking powers." And then Watch Dogs 2 was like, all right, a little more lighthearted. You can play as a lot of different characters in San Francisco. And then this game is like full blown hyper neon light masks for everybody and very colorful, very customizable, very multiplayer. Like that whole game like transformed. And then I can already just envision the large open world map with 700 waypoints on it, and you're just running around doing missions for 100 hours. And like
Yeah,
Assassin's
I
Creed, I
don't
think,
like it, man.
yeah, Assassin's Creed hides it a little better. It seems. You played some of the more recent ones. I
Yeah, I
haven't, but
played
it
the
seems like
last two,
people like
man.
them.
I put 80 hours into Odyssey. And after I finished it, I was like, bro, like, why did I just do that? Like, and that's what I mean. Like, I'm just like, man, there's no rhyme or reason to why you're doing all these fucking side missions.
Well,
It's,
it's dopamine rushes, right? It's the same shit that we're all addicted to, and they figured out how to artificially lengthen games and get away with it because people get addicted to I gotta get whatever little unlock it is for this. It's gonna help me. I'm gonna be so strong. I'm gonna get so many of these things. Ooh, I want to get that unlock. I want to get that weapon, and they just keep drip feeding it to you in these little missions that are so easy for them to make. And then yeah, next thing you know, you're like, I want to beat this game because I'm enjoying the game. Um, but yeah, wow, I've now put in 80 hours, and really, when I think back on it, only 10 hours of it was memorable. But like, and I mean, that's gross. The new one, it at least looks like they have like the world. They added a world build, like you can build towns and stuff, so it's at least got some more to it.
and they said they were gonna get rid of all those fucking bloated ass missions. So I want to see if they're really gonna
That's
do it.
good.
I don't feel like you need to have all that shit. You can come up with something unique. Like Odyssey had you had to fight. There was one mission, side mission, where you had to go kill all of the famous beasts of Greek mythology.
Oh, Jay's.
Right?
When did Jay get in here?
Oh,
Sorry,
Jay's in here?
notice it. Yeah, he's watching it on Facebook.
Wait. On what? Twitch or Facebook?
Facebook. Yeah, he said kill the stealth missions. Those are annoying. Yep. Uh. Oh yeah, and he said Ghost looked like Bushido Blade in the commercial. Yeah, because you didn't know what kind of game it was going to be.
Yeah, it's just like, and I guess it's funny. As long as they figure out a way to streamline these missions, because like I said, I will say nothing bad about Ghost of Tsushima, like nothing. Like I won't say anything bad about it. This is just strictly from a improvement standpoint. Remove the missions that hold no bearing on the outcome of the game. You don't fucking need them. Create something more unique. Do not go upon the Ubisoft like game design train because that shit's garbage. Nobody actually wants to see that. And as long as you do that, you'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think that I think if they have mentioned that already with Assassin's Creed, then they too must be realizing we're not going to get away with this for the next gen. Because it's like we had loot boxes 2 generations ago, right? And that was like everyone was making it. Everyone was making the same formula for online games. They were like, we can make money off of our online game longer than a year after release if we just keep doing these little things and we have these loot crates and we can get people addicted to it. And then we said, loot boxes are illegal in half the countries in the world now. So they said, well, we got to figure out something else. And this is what they figured out. I mean, this is what they moved to, was these open world games. We pump and battle passes, right? So which is part of the same formula where they say, keep playing the game. There's going to be these little no consequence cookie cutter missions, new ones every week, new cosmetics every month. So you can just keep playing it and just keep grinding and keep trying to get the new stuff and the new things and whatever. And it's terrible, and it's gotten so out of hand that now I think that it can't continue into the next generation, and they're gonna just figure out what's next. But yeah.
And Jay said, make a side quest an actual quest with a beginning and an end with a story, not a series of stupid tests. Yes. That is what I mean.
No one wants to walk up to an NPC who's nobody. This is Jim from this town, and he's just talking to a random just rogue freaking killer walking down the street going, gee, I sure do need some help with this wolf out in the forest. It's been coming by every now and then, and I could use a hand. And then you go, okay, I guess I'm going to go kill some wolf. And then you go out there and you kill it and you come back. And he goes, gee, thanks, I really appreciate it. Here's some money. And then what did you just spend time on?
Hopefully we're not doing that stupid shit in Cyberpunk, even though I feel like we're going to be doing it.
Ooh, and that's the thing, is that I feel like a lot of these games that are coming out right now, that's what Ghost was, and it's because they started making it 3-4 years ago, and then they were like, ooh, this is the formula, and we're gonna apply it to Samurai because nobody's doing that. And Cyberpunk might be, ooh, we're gonna make a Cyberpunk game, and we're gonna use that formula. But I mean, granted, they did make The Witcher, which The Witcher does have a lot of. The
Witcher has a lot. See, with The Witcher,
bloat, but it also has a lot of really good storytelling.
So with The Witcher, the side quests actually had a effect on your ending. So you doing the side quests actually affected which ending you got. So if you give people some type of promise to me doing all this bullshit actually does something, okay, I think people will be more akin to do it. But with the, and then also with The Witcher, you were a monster hunter. So they had monster hunter side quests in every town where they needed a monster killed. Well, that's how you made money as a Witcher. You kill monsters. So as long as it plays in with the aesthetic.
And that's a good example of it working with the character, where you're role playing as him, whatever the hell is it, Geralt, and that's what he does. So it makes sense. But when you're an assassin from Assassin's Creed, and you clearly have a larger mission at hand, and you're doing some chores for some random people, or I'm playing Final Fantasy VII, and I'm like, the world is about to end, and I'm finding cats for some people, or like, come on, man, that's so hopefully Cyberpunk should hopefully do it well, and but we'll see. I'm just getting so tired of just it must be a hot position right now to be like, I'm a 3D modeler who can just I can churn out endless costumes and reskins of objects in your video game.
Of NPCs. Okay.
Well, I mean, like, new costumes, new weapon skins, and that's new things for people to unlock every month in your game that you gotta pump meaningless content into for the next year or two. I hope that just starts dying, man. I need that to die, and then get these side quests out of here, where I think people are getting tired of them. I know we are.
I mean, I would love for it to do so. So, okay, that's enough of Ubisoft and their shitty game design techniques, because I don't care about them. Okay, so new version of Rat Kill Quest. Yeah, I mean, yes, Jay.
That is what we
uh,
used to get mad about it, and then something happened, and we stopped getting mad about it, and it's because they snuck it back in there
look, man,
under our noses with
we done
dopamine
with that
hits.
shit.
But yeah,
Okay, so I know you wanted to talk about this Uncharted movie. Okay.
yeah, just a little bit. It
Um.
was just a little
So
news tidbit, but
so how did you actually? You know what? Because I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I saw that and I was like, all right, I was like, all right, I did an Uncharted film seemed like something that should be going straight to DVD, but you know what I'm saying? I'm
yeah,
just,
that sounds like they're
I'm
throwing money at
assuming
it, man. If they got Mark Wahlberg, then they threw a lot of money at it.
either that or
And
them
Spider-Man.
checks
I
slowing
mean,
down.
something like but and I'm like, that sounds neat. It doesn't sound like the Uncharted game verbatim, which is probably a good thing. Wahlberg
Yeah.
is Sully, Tom Holland is Drake, who I think he was supposed to
Wahlberg
be,
being Sully to me is so wild. He's not old. Are they gonna
right?
make him old?
I mean, they could play up his age, not dye his hair. He's probably got some great. They can probably make him look a little more rugged.
So there's no older white men in Hollywood that have slick back hair, a mustache, and no beard.
Well, here's the thing: is that they had originally it was supposed to be Tom Holland was going to play a young version of Drake because they explored that in Uncharted 3, and then Wahlberg was going to be Nathan Drake, and then they changed it. So they probably just shifted things, and they were like, well, we don't want to do the two age thing. Tom Holland can just be Drake, and then Wahlberg was probably just still attached, and he must he must like the games or something. He must like the project if he's stuck around this long on the casting. So he was probably like, "I'll be Sully. We can make it work." And you know, I guess that's cool. The thing that worries me the most is, Ruben Fletcher is directing. So great. He did Venom. He did Zombieland. I liked Zombieland, but he is the seventh director attached to the movie, which
Look, man,
which
this
means
shit
it's
going straight to
whose
DVD.
product is who wrote this? Like, whose project is this anymore? Like, is anyone passionate about it that's making it? I hope
Look,
so,
man,
but
who trying to direct fake Indiana Jones? Who wants to direct that? Like, why would I want to be the guy directing fake Indiana Jones?
and it's like, how are you gonna sell that, man? Like, yeah, it's based off of the hit video game franchise, but like, tell it to anyone who doesn't play video games. I mean, I guess that's why you need Mark Wahlberg, right? That's why you need Mark Wahlberg in Spider-Man. So maybe it's brilliant, because if you casted people who looked accurate and you told them this was supposed to be good, just because it's based off of a good video game, why does that convince anyone who's not a video game fan to want to see the movie? Like, they would not care. But you get Spider-Man and Marky Mark.
Marky Mark and Spider-Man.
People are gonna pay attention. So maybe, you know what? Probably brilliant. I'm looking forward to seeing what in the world that even turns into. Uncharted's. I still haven't played 4. I need to play 4. But the classics are so old at this point that I don't even care if they adapt it accurately.
Look,
Who
man,
cares?
if I never got a Halo movie, I don't give a fuck about getting an Uncharted movie. Okay.
Yeah.
The Halo movie never happened, so everybody can go to hell. I don't care. All
I,
right.
I
That's
think
just
it's
what it
I
is.
think it's probably better off that it didn't. I think that Halo is a video game and it stars a character that isn't much of a character to put on screen. I think that
I think Peter
I think-
Jackson would have killed it, bro.
I think an HBO show, is that what it is, or is it on Showtime? I think it's on Showtime.
What?
The Halo TV show.
You talking about that show that they did a couple years ago?
No, they're making one right now.
They're making a Halo show
Yeah, man, it's a big budget, like Game of Thrones type of,
based around who?
well into shooting the first season. It's just called Halo, upcoming live-action science fiction television series based on Halo on Showtime. Yep. It will focus on the 26th century war between the United Nations Space Command and the Alien Covenant. And I don't think it is going to star Master Chief, which I think is a good thing, because I think that Master Chief
Because he doesn't have. I get it, because he don't have any character.
he will be a force in the universe in the show that exists.
Yeah.
But he will not be
And
starring.
I'm sure he'll get mentioned. He'll probably have cameos or something, but they'll probably
They'll
base
pull
it
out the
around.
Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One, and there will be a scene of him tearing it up, which will be dope. But I'm sure. But I was so this
Maybe they should base it around fucking Captain Plasky then.
I don't know
The Captain
who.
of the Infinity.
I don't know if there's any other details other than that. Like they haven't been able to talk much about it because God, there's this girl who's in charge of making sure that all the Halo projects follow the lore and keep it in check, like a Dave Filoni of Star Wars. Like, and she's the one. She's overseeing that show to make sure that they don't do anything stupid, that they respect all the lore and the books and everything, and make sure that they get it right. And she has a really radical freaking name, and I can't remember her name, but she was on Animal Talking, which I watch regularly and love. But and he got to interview her long form, which no one's really done, and he was poking. He was asking. He wanted some details, and that's how I learned more about it. And I was like, that sounds like they're doing the right thing because this chick knows what is up, and she's making sure that they're doing it right. And she's like, we're trying to make sure it's good. We're making sure it fits and it works, and it's going to be a good show, which is all you can ask for. But so I'm pretty excited about that. They said it's well into shooting the first season already. That is exciting. So yeah, I mean, have that on your radar.
I didn't even know about it. It's funny as hell. I didn't see anything about it.
It was just I think they've been pretty quiet on it for a little while, but god damn, that's really bugging me that I can't find Kiki Wolfkill.
Oh, that is an awesome name.
Jay, I don't, if it will probably involve lore. They have mentioned the novels being a part of the lore that they are going to respect, but that synopsis sounded pretty vague. It will be during the 26th Century War, and that's
the
go.
whole first 3 games.
Yeah. So,
and the games and Reach.
Which is cool then, because I feel like they'll do something like ODST or I mean even Reach, right? Reach starred a bunch of different characters. It'll probably be something like that, and then but with the added benefit of since it's in that time period, they get a chance to show some of the major events from the video games in a TV show, which would be great. But he said, "Oh well, that explains everything." When I said it's during the war. Yeah, Kiki Wolfkill. What is her? She is an executive producer at 343.
She's the transmedia. Her title is. Hold on.
Studio head transmedia at 343i Interactives. And it seems like in general she's just been involved in everything since 343 took over.
I feel like Peter Jackson's movie would have been ridiculous though. I feel like it would have been crazy because like he's so good at those large scale battles.
Yeah, I mean it would have been nuts.
Like that shit would have been crazy.
It's cool at least that we can, and maybe this could move to a movie, but it's cool at least that shows exist now. Showtime's got money, so it's cool that you can get really big battles and things like that out of it. I mean, this is Halo, right? If they're doing it right, then they're going to be wanting to throw Game of Thrones money at this.
Okay.
So it sucks that it's not Showtime, but this is something that I would buy a month of Showtime and check that out.
Check that out. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So okay. All right. We're gonna move on to Sony for a minute. Okay. Well, back to Sony because we were talking about Uncharted, so we back to Sony. All right. Hey man, look. Halo, obviously you got some love here on Third Key, like Microsoft. Y'all just need to fix the graphics because we keep talking about you. So it seems like Sony has heard the criticism about the PlayStation 5 not being able to produce 4K 60 because, you know, all the games they showed were 4K 30. And they came out and made an announcement that Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is not an actual launch game, and I refuse to acknowledge it as an actual launch game. I actually feel insulted that it's a launch game. And PS4 owners should be too. By the way, PS4 owners should not be happy that Miles Morales is not available for them. Like, this should make you mad.
Yeah,
it's the same
weird.
engine, bro. It's the same exact engine. Okay. And they've showed that they can scale the performance down because they made a statement that 4K 60 performance mode will be available on the game. So why couldn't a 4K 30 performance mode be on the game and be playable on PlayStation 4?
Right.
But that is another conversation. So 4K 60 performance mode is on the game. That is without ray tracing, right? Which is why at the beginning, when we brought up certain games that have 4K 60 with ray tracing, this has 4K 60 without ray tracing. What is your opinion on this?
I think it's cool, and I hope that becomes a standard to at least give you the option. Because I'll tell you what, a lot of stuff too, even with like ray tracing, is you'll be like, wow, this looks great. Maybe when I do the big story mission, I'll crank the graphics up and sacrifice the performance. But if you're playing the game a second time through, if you're trying to 100% it, if you're trying to do all that stuff, you're putting it in performance mode, and you're gonna like it more. So, like, I'm glad that that's an option, and I hope that bodes well for the future. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of threw it out there that it was something that they confirmed recently that they were gonna do, which that's good. I hope that I can. What they still won't freaking talk about is if I'm gonna be able to play the first Spider-Man in 4K 60. With less load times. I'm telling you, and they're doing what they did last generation, which we'll see if it works well this generation, where they're just giving the gamers what they've always asked for, and they're being real traditional and gamey, and they got lots of hard cutoffs from PS4 to PS5, whereas Microsoft's doing the opposite. They are being scummy as hell and not telling us if them games are gonna play better on PS5, and I think that they are, but they're not going to tell us until October because they need you to buy Ghost of Tsushima right now.
Look, they do want you to buy Ghost right now. I already bought it, right? So, I bought it, you know, just hoping, and this is why I bought it, truly. I wanted to buy it and see what games they're going to bring forward to PS5 with a free update. And Ghost should be one of them because it's probably going to win Game of the Year. It's because right now it's looking like either Ghost of Tsushima or The Last of Us 2. Either one. It's going to win Game of the Year. Now, there's a off chance, like I said, that Halo Infinite comes out and it's not what they showed at the event, and that shit blows people's minds. And if that happens, yeah, that's the only chance you got. But otherwise, it's going to be those two games. So both of those games you would think would be a part of the PlayStation 5's, when they announced they'll have like a PS4 upscale thing for the PlayStation 5 performance boost mode. You would assume both of those games will meet the criteria to be a part of the performance boost mode. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, both games should get increases in fidelity and frame rate.
And I feel like you've brought it up before, but it is a question of how scummy are they going to be. It's a little scummy to, maybe avoid talking about it right now because you don't want people to just stop playing PS4 and wait for the PS5. But they could also make a remastered edition of Spider-Man and make you pay $20 for it.
Make you buy it.
And that would suck. And hopefully they do not do that. I think that would be really hard to get away with, especially if they wanted to do it for like Ghost of Tsushima. They would not be able to.
It would be hard to get away with. People would buy it.
they'd be
Look,
like,
bro,
this game just came out 3 months ago or 4 months ago, and I gotta buy it again to get the.
Aaron, Sony does not have to do anything. They are the GOATs. Okay? They're the GOATs of this console shit. They have put themselves in a place where they can do whatever they want, and their fans are going to follow that. Okay? That's just what this is. People have to stop. Like, they have. Okay. What's the launch title for the PlayStation 5?
What is it?
Spider-Man Miles Morales.
They got Spider-Man, but it's not a full game.
And Godfall.
Is that it?
Those are the two first-party launch titles, right?
I thought
They're
they
gonna
had
sell
something.
10 million PS5s. They're gonna produce 10 million PS5s, and they're gonna sell 10 million PS5s. Whether or not those two games are in the box or not, one of them is an expansion, and one of them is a game nobody's heard of that nobody's really gonna play. It's like a looter. It's a looter action game, right? So none of the hardcore, none of the fan base, they're not gonna play it. So people have to understand that, they've created a culture where their fans will go buy that stuff. So they don't got to do nothing. They can bring out Ghosts for PS5 and people will rebuy it.
Man.
They can bring out Last of Us 2 for PS5. People will rebuy it. So what would happen?
I don't know. I don't think they got that disc edition. I feel like people are gonna say I better be able to put my damn PS4 game into the PS5.
Yeah, but what if
drive.
you get the digital?
Well then, yeah. Well, same thing with digital. If they bought it digitally, they better be able to play it on PS5 still. And I think that they are gonna allow for that, but they just haven't. They have to allow for that, right? But they haven't said if it's gonna look any better. They just said backwards compatible. I think they already confirmed that, most of the popular PS4 games, all of the popular ones, but not all games, because they're not even going to worry about some of the no-name games. They said that they're going to be backwards compatible. They didn't say if they were going to play any better or do anything, just that they're going to be backwards compatible. So there's no promise of upgrade.
Mark Cerny did say during his press conference there was going to be some sort of performance boost mode. I just don't know what that means.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know what that entails. But he did say that. So I expect some sort of boost mode or something of the sort.
It could just mean, if a game had a dynamic resolution scaling, so it scales the resolution down when things get heavy. Maybe it just doesn't. They don't have to do that because the PS5 can handle it. Or if your frame rate wasn't stable 60, now it's stable 60 because the thing's better. All these titles will receive some kind of I don't know if this is from pushsquare.com as of July 15th, but this says all these titles receive some kind of upgrade on Sony's next-gen console that will allow them to look better, perform better, or both. Let me see this. Does this have details? When did they say this? They weren't.
He said it during that engineering.
I'm saying this is specific. Oh no, they just say
specific games.
Some of them have details, but it's the ones that are. This isn't really upgrades though. Marvel's Avengers isn't an upgraded title. It's just going to be on all the platforms.
Look, they didn't announce specific games. They said the 100 most popular PS4 games are going to be, be backwards compatible, and they'll be adding games or whatever, and some specific titles will receive PS5 performance upgrades. So they just haven't told us which ones those are. And I'm just saying, based upon the success of Ghosts and the success of The Last of Us 2, you would think they would make the list of games they would give give more fidelity. So yeah, I expect to see it. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
this article is bullshit, and they're just talking about games that are coming out. They're going to be on everything, and they're going to be upgraded on PS5. But they also said You know, some of them they have no details on, but they say it's going to have a free upgrade. I think that what that means is that if you buy the PS4 version, you can play it on your PS5 and it'll be a free upgrade. But NBA 2K21, free upgrade if you buy the old one? Yes, if you purchase the Mamba Forever edition.
Yeah, yes, but it only gives you the standard version, not the Mamba Forever version for the PS5 or the Xbox One or the Xbox, Series X. So that's a different conversation. But
it's just funny to me that you can't buy regular NBA 2K21 on PS4 and play it on PS5. They're like, oh no, you had to pay
nope. You got to pay $100. So on our second episode here, we're going to have, and this is going to be our last topic, I guess, but we're going to call this the third eye discussion. Plays off that third key. Hey, man, you see what we did there? So Aaron had a question, so the rise of mission-based open world, always online games, okay?
I feel like
start with Destiny. Okay, like did it start with Destiny? Now Division, Ghost Recon, Far Cry, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed, Ghosts of Tsushima. How did this come about, and what will it look like in the next generation? The rise of mission-based open world, always online games. Explain what that is to the people here.
I don't know. I feel like we already talked about it. Unfortunately,
I mean,
we hit
in
it.
a way.
We hit it.
Yeah,
we
we
attacked
did.
it earlier. But yeah, it's that same kind of thing. It's those mission-based games. Them feed you the dopamine hits, give you the new little tiny upgrades, new cosmetics, new little everything. But yeah, I mean,
I think Destiny does it super bad. Like it's because they just repeat the missions.
it's the same thing. I couldn't believe that the first time I played Destiny 2, that first expansion came out, and I think it had a unique boss, and I was like, cool. And then they were like, yeah, so the next expansion is this one. And then I was like, I just fought it was the same boss as before in the same level, but he was a different color and it was harder. And then I was like, oh, that's what all of the rest of the content is now. You just replay missions in the same levels, in the same environments, but the enemies are harder, and you try to get new rare weapons. They took the idea from like Diablo, old school Diablo and Borderlands and stuff, where you find a rare weapon and it's the same weapon, but this one is super rarity and it's got extra whatever on it. And if you keep trying this same hard thing over and over again, you'll probably get the good loot drop. It's like, I can't even. This stuff is. I knew so many people who dumped like 300, 400, 500 hours into Destiny 2, and I was like, what are you guys even doing? You're just spending every night grinding for what? Like you're not
trying to get a new gun or a new piece of armor, and they'll do it like you have to go do the raid. Cause I played Destiny 1. I actually played Destiny 1 while my daughter was being born. I was playing it in the hospital. Like the mother of my child was like laying in the bed, and she sleep, and I'm like, well, I gotta find something to do because she sleeps. So I guess I'm gonna play Destiny, and that is my I feel terrible story for the day. So, hey, I was there. I wasn't playing Destiny when the actual birth was happening, but I was definitely playing Destiny when I was sitting in the hospital with her and she just all drugged up, knocked out. You know what I'm saying? And I feel bad. So you go play the raids, and you have to play the raid multiple times to get all the armor. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you have to get these armor sets to increase, your light to a certain level.
So, do you? I never even did a raid because it had to be coordinated and you needed a full party and you had to have strategy, which is cool. But like when you redo them, is it different or is it just the same hard mission again?
Nah, it's the same hard mission. Like
What?
you pretty much memorize.
I don't want to replay it more.
Memorize what happens. So then you figure out the best way to do it, and you figure out like what your role is depending on your character. So like if you play a Titan or you play a Hunter or you play I forgot what the mage's name was. Playing in these different roles, you had to do certain things depending on what you were. So like if you was a Titan and you had to have a shield, or you know, if you was a hunter and you had to get the fucking golden gun shot off or whatever. Like it was just certain things you were expected to do based on the role. So I do agree that Destiny's idea of content is bullshit.
And even like I feel like the raids were cool.
Yeah.
And it seemed like when they did those drops, right, where they were like, there's going to be a new raid, they would drop like those new puzzles or whatever, where they'd be like, there's something secret. You got to figure out how to do it. Nobody knows how to do it. The whole world's racing to try to figure out how to do it. Those seem neat, and those are cool. But then, how often did those happen?
I think they only put out like 2 raids. Like when I was playing Destiny, I remember it was the first one. I mean, it was 3 raids in total that I remember playing.
Like they were always very spaced out, and then, which I'm trying to think of like World of Warcraft, right? I feel like that's what clans were doing constantly. There was a million raids, and it was
Raiding.
Like you were building, you had to have dozens of people going and doing raids. I think is that what they called them, a raid, or was it? I think that's what it was. It was raids.
I think they were raids. Yeah, like I remember when they first killed that dragon. Wasn't that dragon's name like Onyxia or something?
Something, but I mean, you could do that all the time.
Did that, and it was like a big ass deal. The first guys that had killed the dragon, you know, whatever.
Yeah, and it was like, I mean, that's cool, but it's like they had a lot of content. They had a lot of things like that you could do, whereas Destiny was like, here's the raid. All you people who've been grinding, you're probably gonna beat it within 24 hours. And then I guess you're just gonna go back.
Just gonna keep doing.
You're gonna go back to grinding for another month or 2 of the same old bullshit until we finally put out another new raid for you to actually apply yourself to. I don't know, like, that's why I'm like, I just want more real content. I'm just over games like that. I can't. I play some games like that, and I'm only playing them to try to beat the story, and then I would definitely be done. You know, because the formula is you beat the story and then you unlock the end game. So you were level capped at level 30, but now you can go to level 50 and everything. We opened up the other 80% of the world map, and it's just the same shit, but everything is way harder. I'm like, I'm good. There's no more story. It's just a bunch of challenges. I'm good. I'll go play the next game. Like, I don't need to spend another 200 hours in this. Ugh.
Well, you're about to get all that DLC on Game Pass with Destiny, but nah, that's funny. So Aaron, I first started our discussion. Aaron's not feeling the mission-based open world always online service games. He wants that shit to stop. I don't think it's stopping no time soon, because they figured out ways to make money off that shit, and people was paying for them loot boxes and all that good shit. So
I think it'll transform, but yeah, you know, Assassin's Creed, we'll see. Maybe that will do it different.
Well, you know what I'm saying? That was a good first third our discussion. It's obviously, obviously I think we'll keep that for episode 3. But that's everything we had to run through, because we did skip Dr. Disrespect and Logic Science and Twitch. But I'm not mad about that at all, because I don't want to talk about Logic at all, and I don't really care about Dr. Disrespect. So look, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Actually had fun tonight. Show was structured. We figured out what we want to do. So I'm glad everybody tuned in to episode 0.2 of the Third Key podcast. And it was fun, man. It was fun. Hopefully we got some more gaming news to talk about next week, because this shit might be slowing up. But
we'll see, man.
Music.
Someday Nintendo's gonna come out of nowhere, I think, but we'll see. We're still waiting.
And then Aaron's gonna go crazy. His head's gonna explode, because Nintendo, he's a Nintendo fanboy, and he will definitely have all the Nintendo smoke when that's ready. But seriously, man, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for Jade sending in the questions. Hey, did somebody else send in questions?
No, it was just Jade came in. We had a few people come and go.
Okay.
But
oh,
yeah.
Actually, John Kelly did too. Thanks, John Kelly, sending in questions. But appreciate you guys. Chris McLeod, Aaron, Hey, AKA Young Smash Bros. Let's go. Hey, I have a new AKA for Aaron next joke. But peace out, guys. Thank you.
Indeed.
When the beat bang and you're in the club. When the beat bang and you're in the club. When you listen and you feel a thud. When the beat bang, 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 and you're in the club. When the beat bang and you're in the club. When you listen and you feel a thud.
What goes out to all the ladies in the house?